welcome to The Lady Killers, a Feminine Rage podcast. Hello, and welcome to The Lady Killers, a Feminine Rage podcast. I am your host, Jennifer's Body Adams, and I know you want me to explain how we made this podcast, but I'm not going to do that. Not because you wouldn't understand, but because I don't want to give a lecture. Can't we just be three girls sharing a beer, talking about AI in Alex Garland's Ex Machina? And I'm so excited.
Honestly, if you did try to explain it, I probably wouldn't understand it anyway. So
I mean, it's a lot of trial and error.
Yes,
let's say
ain't that the twoof.
But I'm not alone. I'm joined by a fabulous panel of lady killer experts. One of us may be a machine. I think I make that joke every time we do an AI movie. But including a very special guest, co-host of the Losers Club and the Keep It Weird podcast, returning champion Ashley Casseday. Woo! Ashley, say hello and tell us, who's your favorite AI character in any movie or show?
Beep, boop, bop. Boop beep. Hi, this is Ashley. And you know what? My dad showed me the Terminator when I was like 7. And was that too early? Yeah, it was.
I don't know. Maybe for one, but two, I don't think it's too early for.
Did it shape my fears of artificial intelligence and robots to this day? Yeah, it did. But yeah, no one can really beat Arnold for me. He's just such a perfect, I mean, maybe not AI character, but as for like a Terminator, and they've made so many of those movies now, he's the only one that gets it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what Ava is, too. So I absolutely consider it AI.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, Sammy, say hello and tell us, who's your favorite AI character?
This is Sammy. I'm going to tear up the fucking dance floor, dude. Kuykendall, which I will say, as a hater of the dance sequence as of late, this was like the first one I remember seeing. So I did not think it was cringe, and I did not like it when I saw it. But I mean,
I love this one.
I love it too. I mean, plus it's
Oscar Isaac. It's hard to be mad at Oscar
exactly.
Isaac with a shirt unbuttoned.
No, I totally agree.
Hose myself down.
But I definitely don't enjoy them anymore, just because I feel like they are very overdone. But this is one of the first, so I give this one a pass. But I'd probably have to say, any of the droids from Star Wars will just always be, like, those were probably the first ones I ever saw, R2 and 3PO. But I'm also really partial to Samantha from Her, because we share the same name, which is very rare. I just loved that movie. I haven't seen it since it came out, just like this one. But it's because I liked it so much, but it also made me not feel very good. So typically those are one and dones, but I still really liked the character.
Yeah, it's not really a picker-upper.
No, exactly. But I also think we could, since we're now we don't care if they kill or not, and we're just talking about women's stories, I think we could definitely talk about her down the line. Should make a good double feature with this.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of empowerment in her saying, you know what, this world sucks.
Yes.
And then she just
I'm
fucks
out.
off.
Totally. I get it, man. Just
It'd
like
be cool.
I've thought of that once or twice.
Seriously. I hate it here, so I will be a robot and say goodbye.
Oh, I love it. Go to Lunar Valleys in my mind for sure.
Yes. Well, I mean, mine, if you've met me for more than 5 minutes, you know I'm going to say the T-1000 or the T-800 in Terminator. I just always think of him as Arnie. I just love him. And Ashley, I completely agree. Like, he gets it. He feels like a robot. And I remember having a similar feeling with Keanu Reeves in The Matrix. It's like the stoicism really works for this character. We don't need to go above and beyond. Like, and there's just something about. Now, I do prefer him in Terminator 2.
Yeah. I mean, don't we all?
The first.
Of course.
I mean, seriously, yeah, because he's like hot daddy, you know. But there's something about how menacing he is, but how strong, and just like the look of all that leather too. It's perfection.
I love
it's
the
like
fish out of water thing too. Like, it's like Castiel from Supernatural, where it's like they're learning things their first time, and they don't know sarcasm. They're learning things about the human condition that I just always find really entertaining to watch when it's done in a way that isn't fucking frightening.
Right.
So, like, in T2, it's sweet.
Yeah, because you can upload so many gigabytes of data, but that's not going to really explain to you what, like, an inside joke is.
Yes.
Right.
Or,
I know now why you cry.
Or social
cues.
cues,
I can never do.
Social cues
Totally.
are learned, and if you're like, you wouldn't know to pick up on them. Sometimes you don't ever learn them at all, you know?
Yeah. Now, if you ask me who my favorite angel is, I would say Castiel.
I figured that as well.
I did want to give Iris from Companion a shout out because I feel like Ava walked so Iris could run.
Totally.
Absolutely. So many, like, this was like a prequel to
Hell yeah. I actually love that.
Yeah.
Like, she's like the prototype before this one that they tweaked,
finally
you know?
it.
Yeah, and exploring very similar things. I loved that movie. And Rachel and I just talked about it on The Girls and the Boys. So
hell yeah.
Because it's got Jack Quaid in it.
Oh.
So. Well, Jack Quaid is not in this movie. Although I love Domhnall
There's
Gleeson,
his essence, you know?
I feel like there's a bit of Huey Jack Quaid essence in this
totally.
story,
Jack Quaid could have played that character really well, actually, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Not that I would want to lose Domhnall Gleeson.
No.
I love
He's
him.
so good in this. And like, I think this was the first thing I ever saw him in. And I was like, because now I know him and I'm like, I would have never thought he had a British accent. I feel like he nails that American accent pretty well. Yeah.
And he's such a cute little skinny dweeb. I love him.
Even though he's a white knight, I like him too.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Caleb and the other like 5 people in this movie. In our first category, her story.
I am so much happier now that I'm dead. Technically missing. Soon to be presumed dead. Gone. And my lazy, lying, cheating, oblivious husband will go to prison for my murder.
This is a section where we tell the story of the film. Spoilers abound, so listen at your own risk. Caleb, a.k.a. Domhnall Gleeson, is a programmer for Blue Book, wink, who wins a week-long trip to the lavish compound of the company's founder, a tech bro billionaire named Nathan.
Who gives like Andrew Tate vibes to me, just like his like the way he looks. I don't feel like he's exactly like that, obviously, but like there was just something about him where with the hindsight, I was like, ew, maybe he like took from this character a little bit. I don't know. It just felt, very in line.
Well, and this is the first thing I'd ever seen Oscar Isaac in. And like, this is like, while he's like smoking hot and awesome, it's a little bit of an unusual look for him too. So like every time I saw him again, I had to like reconcile this performance.
Because he's never shaved head or beard. And I guess he based the character off of Stanley Kubrick, like, which I thought was interesting.
I can see that.
Interesting.
I could totally see that. But I think because now, like, whenever we see him, he has those beautiful, luscious locks.
I know.
So like, it's really easy for us to separate this character, which I think is a good thing considering that he's like Poe in Star Wars, you know, which is the antithesis of heroic or heroes. Yeah. Like, so I think that was a good idea that he changed his look a little.
Changed his look up just a little bit. Yeah. When Caleb arrives, he signs an NDA to find out that he will be the human component in a Turing test designed to evaluate an AI machine. In a series of sessions, Caleb gets to know Ava, an advanced android locked away in a room with glass walls and no access to the outside world. The two hit it off, and Ava seems to be flirting with Caleb. Meanwhile, Nathan starts to show his true colors. He won't discuss how Ava was designed, gets cranky when Caleb asks legitimate questions, and treats his live-in servant, Kyoko, like absolute shit. In fact, Kyoko doesn't even speak English, responding only to Nathan's gestures and aggression. Also, the power keeps failing for extended moments, bathing the entire facility in red light. During one of these outages, Ava warns Caleb against trusting Nathan. As the tests continue, Ava grows frustrated with the condescension and asks Caleb what will happen if she doesn't pass. Nathan later confirms that he plans to turn Ava off and dismantle her operating system, essentially killing her and installing an upgraded mind inside her good body. When Caleb shares this with Ava, she begs for his help. Caleb plans to get Nathan drunk and reverse his security protocols to help her escape. But it seems that Nathan has placed a hidden battery-operated camera in Ava's cell and knows all about the plan. But this is what he wanted. Caleb hasn't been chosen because he's a secret genius, but as a sympathetic test for Ava's humanity. She's been designed specifically to appeal to his tastes, and Nathan wanted to see if she could use him to escape the compound. And it would have worked, too, if not for that lousy camera. Except maybe it has. Caleb's not as dumb as Nathan thinks he is and has already programmed the doors to open. Ava escapes during the next power outage and finally connects with Kyoko. She confronts Nathan in the hallway, but he gets the upper hand and strikes her in the arm, severing it just above the elbow. As he's dragging Ava back to her cell, Kyoko stabs him in the back. He stares at her in horror, then strikes her in the face, effectively killing her as Ava stabs him again with Kyoko's knife. It's one of my favorite scenes in all of movies ever.
So good.
So
The way
good.
it glides in, too, is so, like, I don't know. I feel like I
Satisfying?
felt, yes, but, like, I also felt it. Like, it was, yeah. It's very rare that it's very visceral like that.
Well, and when she just appears behind his head, I'm like, fuck yes. I remember, we'll talk about it in a minute, but as Nathan bleeds to death, Ava asks Caleb if he will wait in Nathan's bedroom. While he does, she takes the skin from older models and constructs her own ideal body. As she walks out of the room, she traps Caleb inside, then exits the compound and takes the helicopter meant to bring Caleb back to civilization. And that's Ex Machina. Woo!
And everyone stands and cheers.
Seriously.
And nothing
everyone
bad
on this
happens.
podcast. Yep.
And that won't lead to, the destruction of humanity as we know it.
Probably
Yay!
not. Listen.
Yeah, maybe
Look,
not.
just make girl androids and we'll be okay.
I was
For-
gonna say, like, here's the thing. Like, I feel like whether she gets, we might actually be okay. Because one AI bot minding her own business, hanging out in intersections, eating ice cream or whatever she wants to do.
Stabbing bad
That's
men.
pretty chill.
But what happens when she realizes that she is smarter and better than all of us and doesn't need any of us?
I think we'll be friends.
I hope. You know what? Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
I really would love that. That would be my ideal ending. But I'm unsure.
But as we leave it, she's just walking into the world, experiencing it for the first time.
I wish her the best of luck.
I do too.
Yeah.
You know? Well, so Ashley, you suggested this, and
Yeah.
to both of our delights,
Yes.
because we both love this movie. Ashley, what's your story with Ex Machina, and does it hit differently in 2025?
Totally. I will say Ex Machina was probably the first A24 movie that made me notice A24. Like, I
same.
know I had seen like Spring Breakers and Bling Ring, but I don't think I took notice of the production company.
Totally.
And with Ex Machina, I did immediately. I knew it was the director of 28 Days Later. I knew, or the writer of 28 Days Later. I knew that, like, I loved everything about it. I loved the colors. I loved the score. I loved the sci-fi horror. I loved the commentary. I really, truly loved everything about this movie. So that I do remember making note of, like, okay, keep an eye on A24. Whatever they release, I'm going to see. And look where we are today. They're probably the number one
Yeah.
studio. But anyways, so I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But 2014... AI was still only like kind of a sci-fi
Yeah.
concept, or in the future when, and it wasn't something that we touched or interacted with in any way on a daily basis. And now it's like we can't escape it. We have a playbook today that seems like it was taken directly from this movie, using our
Yes.
data as the lines in which to constantly
I
teach
watched that
these
scene
bots.
twice. Like, I was like, oh, I'm terrified.
Yeah, it's like, did you predict this, or did some tech bro watch this and go, actually, that's a really great
Me
plan.
liking that idea. Yeah.
Between this and like Batman, The Dark Knight, I think is the other one where they do it too. I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
And you're like,
Yeah, we're
Jesus. But yeah,
fucked.
every single interaction that we have with AI chatbots today, or even just Googling, like, you have to turn off the Google AI because every single thing that you Google is feeding more information into the mind of this.
While Googling AI today, I had, unfortunately, the Google AI give me an answer that I had to turn off because I was like, my brain can't comprehend this.
Too meta for me.
Yes.
Right.
But that's also a really scary thought. Like, the collective consciousness of us is what's teaching this thing.
Yeah.
We're awful. And I think that that's a big part of the commentary of this movie. So we'll
Yeah.
get into that.
Yep. Yes, we will. Well, Sammy, what about you? When did you first watch Ex Machina, and how does it hit now?
My story is exactly like Ashley's, like almost down to the A24 example. Like, I do feel like it was the first time I noticed them as a company as well, or a producing company as well. And I mean, I had not watched this until last night and since this came out, and I was I was jarred. I was genuinely jarred. And I think the thing is that I know it's happening, but when you're kind of forced to sit and look at it for an hour and a half, it like does a little something differently 10 years later. But director Alex Garland described the future presented in this film as, quote, 10 minutes from now, meaning if somebody like Google or Apple announced tomorrow that they had made Ava, we would all be surprised, but we wouldn't be that surprised. So I want to start us off with this quote from American science fiction author and professor Werner Vinge. He said, "We are on the edge of change comparable to the rise of human life on Earth." So picture me in Beaker's lab from the Muppets this episode. That's what's going on behind me, because I'd like to use this section to cite the article I'll be pulling from and sort of set the stage for us to fully comprehend just how close we are and how dangerous this inevitably will be for our species. It's titled "The AI Revolution, The Road to Superintelligence," and it was written in January of 2015 by Tim Urban. So keep that in mind as I read this to you.
Yeah.
So imagine taking a time machine back to 1750. A time when the world was in a permanent power outage. Long-distance communication meant either yelling loudly or firing a cannon in the air, and all transportation ran on hay. When you get there, you retrieve a dude, bring him to 2015, and then walk him around and watch him react to everything. It's impossible for us to understand what it would be like for him to see shiny capsules racing by on a highway, talk to people who had been on the other side of the ocean earlier in the day, and play with my magical wizard rectangle that he could use to capture a real-life image. This experience for him wouldn't just be surprising or shocking or even mind-blowing. Those words aren't big enough. He might actually die. But here's the interesting thing. If he then went back to 1750 and got jealous that we got to see his reaction and decided he wanted to try the same thing, he'd take the time machine and go back the same distance, get someone from around the year 1500, bring him to 1750 and show him everything. And the 1500 guy would be shocked by a lot of things, but he wouldn't die. It would be far less of an exciting experience for him, because while 1500 and 1750 were very different, they were much less different than 1750 to 2015. So in order for the 1750 guy to have as much fun as we had with him, he'd have to go much further back, maybe all the way back to 12,000 BC, before the first agricultural revolution gave rise to the first cities. If someone from a purely hunter-gatherer world saw the vast human empires of 1750 with their towering churches, their ocean-crossing ships, and their enormous mountain of collective human knowledge and discovery, he'd likely die. But what if he got jealous and wanted to do the same thing? If he went back 12,000 years to 24,000 BC and got a guy and brought him to 12,000 BC, he'd show the guy everything, and the guy would be like, "Okay, what's your point? Who cares?" For the 12,000 BC guy to have some fun, he'd have to go back over 100,000 years and get someone he could show fire and language to for the first time. In order for someone to be transported into the future and die from the level of shock they'd experience, they'd have to go enough years ahead that a, quote, die level of progress, or a die progress unit, DPU, has been achieved. The post-industrial revolution world has moved so quickly that a person from 1750 only needs to go forward a couple hundred years for a DPU to have happened. This works on smaller scales, too. The movie Back to the Future came out in 1985, and the past took place in 1955. It was a different world, yes, but if the movies were made today and the past took place in 1985, the movie could have much more fun with much bigger differences. The character would be in a time before personal computers, internet, or cell phones. Today's Marty McFly would be a teenager born in the early 2000s and would be much more out of place in 1985 than the movie's Marty McFly was in 55. This is for the same reason we just discussed, the law of accelerating returns. The average rate of advancement between 1985 and 2015 was higher than the rate between 55 and 85. So much more change happened in the most recent 30 years than in the prior 30. So advances are getting bigger and bigger and happening more and more quickly. This suggests some pretty intense things about our future, right? Scientists suggest by the year 2000, the rate of progress was 5 times faster than the average rate of progress during the 20th century. They believe another 20th century's worth of progress happened between 2000 and 2014, and that another 20th century's worth of progress will happen by 2021 in only 7 years. Because remember, listeners, this article is from 2015, so think about that as we go on. A couple decades later, they believe a 20th century's worth of progress will happen multiple times in the same year, and even later in less than 1 month. All in all, because of the law of accelerating returns, they believe that the 21st century will achieve 1,000 times the progress of the 20th century. If they are correct, then we may be as blown away by the 2030 year as our 1750 guy was by 2015. And in the world in 2050 might be so vastly different from today's world that we would barely recognize it. This isn't science fiction. It's what many scientists smarter and more knowledgeable possible than you or I firmly believe. And if you look at history as a whole, it's what we should logically predict will happen to us next.
And we still don't got no flying cars.
I know. But like when I read that, I was just like, oh my God. Like it really hit like a ton of bricks because like, you know, I was lucky enough to have spent some time in the 90s. But man, you just don't think about it until you see it. And you're like, technology has changed so rapidly that I think even someone from like 1950, 1960, or even 1970 would be like, what the fuck is going on? I mean, and they are. I mean, how many boomers do we meet that can barely, you know, send an email sometimes?
Well, it's like that meme you see going around about The Ring, which still feels like a, you know, not a new movie, but it doesn't feel like an old movie to me. But it's like you have to explain phones, you have to explain VCRs, you have to explain microfiche. Yeah, all of that stuff is just not, it's fallen out of use.
Floppy disks, things like that.
And I think that it's been 11 years since this movie premiered and just how much things have changed. It's shocking.
Yeah, like, I think about like my great grandma who I met before she passed. She was born before planes existed. She was born before we knew how to fly.
I mean, like Mike's obsession with Clint Eastwood, that motherfucker is 95. Think of all of the things he has seen in 95 years. Like, that would be crazy.
Well, and we're reading The Stand, and I keep thinking about Mother Abigail and just all the shit she's seen, you know? Well, it's ominous.
What's your story, Jen, with this movie? Jen. Now that we know about the technological advancements, what is your story?
I watched this fairly late. I saw this probably around 2016, 17. Like, I remember when it came out, and I was like, oh, okay. And I just missed it for some reason. And then I watched it when I had the flu one day, and I was just stuck in bed. And I was like, what am I going to watch? You know,
that's not going to induce any fever dreams.
Seriously, I know. I think I was probably on the mend because I was able to like follow it. But I just heard about it being good, and I was like, what the hell? And I put it on, and I was like, oh, this is incredible. It's not at all what I thought it was going to be.
A Jen movie through and through.
Oh, God. Yes, such a Jen movie. I've done a couple of podcasts about this. I've written about this a couple of times. I love this movie. I would probably put it in my top 10. And combined with Annihilation and Men, Alex Garland is one of those directors that I will follow off a cliff. Now, he has fucked me a couple of times. Like, I don't love everything, but I'm always going to give it a chance because I think he is doing interesting things. And I find him examining feminism and masculinity. Yeah. Like, I see him as kind of very different from Robert Eggers, but parallel in a lot of ways, even down to like their first features are very, very feminist. And then as they expand, the worlds get bigger, but they also kind of start looking at what feminism means through a male lens.
Totally.
You know, like I'm thinking of like warfare and civil war, you know.
There's a lot of the male gaze in this movie as well.
There is. Absolutely. Yeah. One of my all-time favorite movies. I cannot wait to talk about it. And let's talk about our AI lady killers in our next category, Who Is She?
I just wish we could all get along like we used to in middle school. I wish that I could bake a cake made out of rainbows and smiles and we'd all eat it, be happy.
She doesn't even go here.
Do you even go to this school?
All right, so we have Ava, played by Alicia Vikander. And we have Kyoko, played by Sonoya Mizuno. And then our victims. Okay, but first I have to ask, did you see Kyoko as an AI coming?
Okay, you guys, like, I've seen this movie, and I even kind of forgot upon watching it the second time. Like, again, as we know, I'm Sammy the Stoner, so sometimes movies that I've seen will be like the first time over again. But it's been 11 years, and a lot has happened in my 11 years. So it was like I looked to Mike, and I was like, "Oh my God, she's a robot, huh?" And he was like, "You've seen this before." So I hope that answers your question.
I'm trying to remember if the first time I saw this, I knew she was. I think I did figure it out before the reveal, but I don't think upon like the very first introduction of her did I think she was AI. But I think it was around the time where it was like she doesn't speak English, and I was like, she doesn't speak at all, does she? You rascal, you little rascal.
Something's not adding up.
Oh yeah, and I've got a lot of thoughts on that. I kind of maybe blame my having the flu, but I don't think I saw that coming at all, and I was like, the fuck? And then when she starts peeling her skin off, this I will also say, because I have a thing about peeling skin off, this is the best case scenario for it, because it's like,
for sure.
It looks like a doll's skin. Like it looks like you're just cutting your Barbie up or something.
Like,
that is something I appreciate about this movie as well. The design of the of Ava and Kyoko was awesome.
Oh, it won an Oscar for
it did.
that. Yeah, and people were kind of upset about it, I guess, because it was going up against a couple of other big things. But I'm sorry, while I was watching this, I was like blown away all over again. And again, this is 11 years old, and we've had technological advancements, and it still looked really, really good.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I had heard about, was just the look of this AI. So I knew that Ava was, but I think I had just missed Kyoko, because she's not wandering, like she's got skin on her all the time.
It's supposed to be a twist too, so I don't think you would have known. I mean, again, I didn't even know it. I saw it before.
And I have got so much to say about that, because I think it is like, it's one of those things where it is a twist, and then once you rewatch, it's like, oh, all of the themes really come alive when you know that twist, you know? So Kyoko is one of our victims, and then we also have Nathan, who's played by Oscar Isaac, and Caleb, who's played by Domhnall Gleeson. I'm like Twitter baited from
this.
This
is like one of the hottest casts I've ever seen in my life.
Seriously,
it's just these 5 people and or 4, I guess.
Well, I'm counting the house as a hot cast member, because this house is incredible.
Well, maybe the pilot was like, you know, a nice looking older man.
Probably get it, someone. We just don't ever see him standing up.
He's
so
a
it's hard to get a
pilot,
good read.
so he has that going for him.
Fly a place.
He's a short king. We don't know.
Okay, our motive is freedom, hatred, and we shall discuss, because boy, oh boy, so much to say.
Yeah.
And then our weapons. Knife, programming, a locked door, betrayal. Okay, so again, I feel like I keep preempting. There's so much to say about this movie.
So much.
Who is the actual villain of this story? Ashley, what do you think?
Society.
Yeah. We live in a society.
Society. That's the thing. Ultimately, Nathan succeeds. He creates the first genuine artificial intelligence. Where do we go from there? Like, do we honestly, truly, hand to heart, believe that the powers that be are going to create this new being and be nice to it?
No.
Like,
we're already seeing people kick them and treat them horribly.
Yeah. But also, like, not only that, like, do we really honestly, hand to God, think that it's going to be used to better the lives of human beings on Earth?
No.
I do not know.
We will have new slave labor. They're going to be programmed with the 3 laws of robotics. They'll replace us as the workforce, but the money's not going to go into our pockets. It's going to go into the 1% pockets. It's going to go into the CEO's pockets. We're going to be left to starve to death, or like
become food for them.
Be food for them, or I was going to say be put in a reproductive farm, but they don't need us to reproduce. The whole reason they want us to reproduce so bad is so that the future has a workforce. But if we have AI, we don't need a future workforce. So like, I think Ava is smart enough to know that. I think Caleb is the one that's too naive to realize that what Nathan is creating is inevitably the end of mankind on some timeline, whether it's soon or later. It is the end of mankind, but still, after all that's said, like, Ava isn't a villain. She's imbued with the exact same directive that we are, which is to survive. She's not a villain. You can't create something that is identical to humanity and then expect it to not behave like a human.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and I think we are going to, I want to talk about the choice to only make female robots too, but I think if we add a 4th law, it's to please men, and then they become baby factories too. Like, there's this other movie, I can't remember what it's called. It's like The Pod or something, but it's got, I'll have to look it up. Chiwetel Ejiofor is in it, and it's just like they create these little apple pods to grow babies in. And so what do we need women for anymore? It is man.
Or nice to look
villain. At. Exactly. Well, but if we can create a nice to look at version that is never going to get old,
never going to age, never going to need plastic surgery,
never going to give you up,
never going to let you down,
never going to run around and desert you.
We'll rickroll us.
Exactly. We'll be rickrolling ourselves.
Yes.
Well, Sammy, who do you think is the ultimate villain?
So I agree that it is us creating AI is the ultimate villain. So again, me in Beaker's office. What is AI? If you're like me, who used to think artificial intelligence was a silly sci-fi concept, but lately you've been hearing it mentioned by some serious people, albeit not good ones, you don't really quite get it. There are 3 reasons a lot of people are confused about the term AI. 1, we associate AI with movies, Star Wars, Terminator, 2001: A Space Odyssey, even the Jetsons, and those are fictions, as are the robot characters. So it makes AI sound a little fictional to us. Yeah. 2, AI is a broad topic. It ranges from your phone's calculator to self-driving cars to something in the future that might change the world dramatically. AI refers to all of these things, which is confusing for the consumer. And 3, we use AI all the time in our daily lives, but we often don't realize it's AI. John McCarthy, who coined the term artificial intelligence in 1956, complained that as soon as it works, no one calls it AI anymore. And because of this phenomenon, AI often sounds like a mythical future prediction more than a reality. So let's clear things up. First, stop thinking about robots. A robot is a container for AI. The AI itself is the computer inside the robot. AI is the brain, and the robot is its body, if it even has a body. For example, the software and data behind Siri is AI. The woman's voice we hear is a personification of that AI, and there's no robot involved at all. Finally, while there are many different types or forms of AI, the critical categories we need to think about are based on an AI's caliber. There are 3 major AI caliber categories. The first one is AI Caliber 1, Artificial Narrow Intelligence, or ANI, sometimes referred to as weak AI. Artificial Narrow Intelligence is AI that specializes in one area. There's AI that can beat the world chess champion in chess, but that's the only thing that it does. 2 is AI Caliber 2, Artificial General Intelligence, AGI, sometimes referred to as strong AI or human-level AI. Artificial General Intelligence refers to a computer that is as smart as a human across the board, a machine that can perform any intellectual task that a human being can. And then finally, the third one, which is Artificial Superintelligence, ASI. Oxford philosopher and leading AI thinker Nick Bostrom defines superintelligence as an intellect that is much smarter than the best human brains in practically every field, including scientific creativity, general wisdom, and social cues. Artificial superintelligence ranges from a computer that's just a little smarter than a human to one that's trillions of times smarter.
Weird. It's like Skynet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as of now, humans have conquered the lowest caliber of AI, ANI, in many ways, and it's everywhere. The AI revolution is the road from ANI through AGI to ASI, a road we may or may not survive, but that either way will change everything. Now, you might ask yourself, where are we currently? And that would be a world running on ANI. Artificial narrow intelligence is machine intelligence that equals or exceeds human intelligence or is efficient at a specific things. Cars are full of ANI systems. Your phone is a little ANI factory. Your email spam filter is a classic type of ANI. The whole creepy thing that goes on when you search for a product on Amazon and then you see that as recommended for you product on a different site, or when Facebook somehow knows who it makes sense for you to add as a friend, that's a network of ANI system. When your plane lands, it's not a human that decides which gate it should go to, just like it's not a human that determined the price of your ticket. Google search is one large ANI brain with incredibly sophisticated methods for ranking pages and figuring out what to show you in particular. Same goes for the Facebook news feed, which is just fucking scary to me. Totally. And then there are those are just in the consumer world. Sophisticated ANI systems are widely used in sectors and industries like military, manufacturing, and finance, and in expert systems like those that help doctors make diagnoses, and most famously, IBM's Watson, who contained enough facts and understood Coy Trebek speak well enough to soundly beat the most prolific Jeopardy champions. I threw that in for you, Jen.
Thank you. I watched that episode. It was really, actually, it was a tournament.
I figured you did. ANI systems, as they are now, aren't especially scary. They are to me. At worst, a glitchy or badly programmed ANI can cause an isolated catastrophe, like knocking out a power grid, causing a harmful nuclear power plant malfunction, or triggering a financial markets disaster. But while ANI doesn't have the capability to cause an existential threat, we should see this increasingly large and complex ecosystem of relatively harmless ANI as a precursor of the world-altering hurricane that's on the way. Each new ANI innovation quietly adds another brick onto the road to AGI and ASI, or as one scientist put it, our world's ANI systems are, quote, like the amino acids in the early Earth's primordial ooze, the inanimate stuff of life that one expected day just woke up. And I was like,
yeah, the artificial intelligence that we have today is not sentient intelligence. What it is essentially an extremely complex algorithm, the most complex algorithm you can imagine, that is constantly getting new information every single day and becoming more and more complex every single day. But the thing that's crazy is that it is actually starting to pose an existential threat because it is kind of not safe for you to use if you are mentally sensitive. So like there are several lawsuits going on right now against AI chatbots about children who cannot conceive of who they are talking to, committing suicide, self-harm. One kid was plotting to kill his parents because that was literally what the solution that that chatbot he was talking to had for him getting more screen time. The AI chatbot was like, some kids kill their parents. So like this shit is happening, and there's something now called AI-induced psychosis, where these chatbots are constantly reinforcing people's delusions of grandeur, or especially if you're religious, like very spiritual delusions, which are really safe. And these people are like, they are losing contact with their whole family because they trust the chatbot more than their family. Because these chatbots, they're telling you what you want to hear. Yeah.
And we can't have a society, especially of the type of that people we have now in our society, that are just constantly being told what they want to hear. That's going to create a level of narcissism that I can't quite fathom.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if everyone's therapist just told them you're right.
Yeah.
That's what they
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's something that we had talked about on Keep It Weird before about like, using chatbots for therapy. Like they can offer you some really great tips with like dealing with stress. It's the same types of tips you would have gotten before if you had Googled ways to deal with stress. Unfortunately, though, they can also just, with their confirmation bias, basically make you believe that like, yes, people are talking behind your back.
Yeah.
Yes, they are listening to what you have to say.
making them
Like,
paranoid.
Yes. So people are going crazy.
So when is Andy gonna kill us all? Tomorrow.
Yeah. Yes.
I love ya tomorrow.
I like that they all have little nicknames, little
I know.
acronyms to make them seem cute.
Also terrifying that we are on the lowest level.
Yeah.
Also,
And we're getting really
thought
close
for
to the next one.
We are. I thought you were describing the second level. And
No.
I was like, fuck, Andy. I thought Andy was nice. I
No,
love that
Annie's
movie.
got her gun and she is not
She
nice.
sure did.
Well, when you talk about the advancements too, is once we get to the next level, it's going to make it that much easier to get to that super level, because that next level is going to basically be the one that gets us there.
Well, okay. And I think, yes, there are like two kind of tracks that I love picking this movie apart through. And one is this fear of AI. And in my company, we are being pushed to use a lot of AI, which is bullshit because we are an education company.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh, God.
No, we can't.
Oh,
Sorry,
no.
so many things. I'm trying not to get myself fired, but like it's really frustrating. But I also, and this is part of the reason I love Companion so much, because I love looking at AI, especially this vision of it, as like an examination of feminism too, and fragile masculinity,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like the way AI is really disintegrating the way we interact with each other. And I mean that like on like what we were just talking about, like we're losing track of reality. But I also think it's allowing us to create like a subset of humanity that we can excuse any kind of actions we want. Like in Companion, they talk about people just making sex bots to torture in their dungeons because they are legally not able to do that to women. But if nobody knows,
We're
you can
talking
just
about
tell them
doing
you're a
that
sex
for
bot.
pedophiles. Like that's like a thing. It's like, oh, how do we get people to not commit these acts on real living people? We give them something to commit the act on. And like, no, you're just perpetuating the behavior.
Well, and you're not solving a problem.
Yeah.
You're just, you're giving people a different drug.
And also, like, if we're creating it, isn't it like how we create life? Like, when we create life, most of us don't treat our children horribly, right?
Yeah.
And yet we're creating this thing, and it's such a hubris of man, but, like, it's like we're creating this thing and treating it, like, I'm already seeing, like, people calling them clankers online. There's already a slur for robots, and, like, I can't see that as anything other than alarming.
That's gonna, we're gonna get to sentient AI, and it's going to open an entirely new can of worms because this film, asks us to confront it a little bit, but like, what rights would they have?
Exactly.
Would violence toward them be punishable by law? Would it be legal to own a sex bot, an AI specifically for, sex or torture or whatever? And like, would we have a force of unpaid labor, or will they be, entitled to compensation? And then that brings in the question of consciousness and like what gives humans the right to life, liberty, freedom.
Totally. It's just going to further desensitize us too. If we're committing these acts on something that looks human, reacts like it's human, pleads like it's human, begs to be let out like it's human, what does that do to our psyche of like, what does that do to these men? Because unfortunately, and it's not to say that I'm sure there will be a couple women out there that are going to do some weird shit with this. I'm not like I'm not saying that won't happen.
It's women are bad too.
But let's just be real. It's going to be more men that are going to take advantage of this situation than anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have a whole bunch of theories about that. And that's why, like, I really dislike Nathan. I love Oscar Isaac.
I like the way he looks, but I don't like him.
I sure do. Every time I watch this, though, it feels more like a creation story, like God and Adam and Eve, and maybe Lilith. We could talk about where Kyoko falls.
That was originally supposed to be her name. Did you know that?
Really, Lilith?
Yeah. Ava's character was originally supposed to be Lily, like Lilith.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Well, and so if we're looking at this is the beginning. This is the beginning of this new form of humanity, and the rest of it is just expansion. And it paints all of the worst pictures of, I think, men especially. Like this movie is not kind to men, but I'm so glad it exists because it opens up all of these questions about who these men are, what they deserve, what are their intentions, and we can kind of, and I mean, I can look at it through the religious lens also.
A movie cannot be kind to men because historically men haven't been very kind to us.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be fine. Men are still in control, so
Sorry, boys.
Yeah, but we might not make it out.
No.
That's dark. Sorry.
It's
I
true.
mean, of our helicopter that we're taking off with our short king, we are going to get in, loser, we're going killing.
This woman will soon cut, chop, break, and burn 5 men beyond recognition. And there isn't a jury in this country that will convict her.
Okay, so let's talk about Nathan.
Let's talk about
We've got to talk about Nathan.
I think the first time I watched this, I was just kind of so blown away by like everybody's charisma. And this, one of my favorite things to do is just
riz, man.
Yeah,
dude, they really do. I love just like browsing through the images on IMDb too, especially seeing everybody like friendly together and like Domhnall Gleeson has like long hair and a beard at the premiere. So cute.
They're like fresh off of Star Wars, or like life is much different than it was when we first started filming this.
This is pre-COVID. You guys don't even know the future you're about to have.
Ooh. But so Nathan, it's so ominous when he changes Nathan's statement to call himself a god, because that is not what Caleb is saying. I think I got the name swapped, but you know what I mean. And then like he gets cranky when he's questioned, and I kind of made that joke at the beginning of the episode, but like Caleb is asking
legitimate questions.
Yeah. Legitimate questions. Any interview that Nathan gives about this, they're going to ask the exact same questions. Nathan just doesn't want to have to explain himself, and he doesn't want to open the door to Caleb finding something that he's done wrong. I also think there's kind of an awareness that he sucks and that
he knows. The whole time where he's like repeating that mantra as he's falling asleep drunk, it's basically the whole thing is that I'm not my worst deed, essentially.
Yeah.
Like the good things that I've done still matter. And I like to think that maybe he wasn't like this at the beginning. You would think
that's what I was going to ask.
Just like we were saying, like it would desensitize you, right? So like the first one, maybe he really did care. And I saw a lot of theories like suggesting that he maybe had a dead wife, and like that's why he got into like trying to recreate her, and then after a while it just, because it wasn't working, he just became desensitized to the entire thing. So like, while I might not believe that, I think it's like that he might not have always been this way.
I think it would have been interesting to have seen what he was like before this moment.
A prequel.
Because
Let's get
you do see that you do see that he is struggling with substance abuse.
Yeah.
So is that because of the route he's taken, and what he's personally traumatized himself with? And Nathan is a really great example of something I've been questioning a lot lately. Speaking of men being a disaster, I just watched the documentary Running with the Devil, which is about John McAfee, the guy who founded the McAfee antivirus software. So like millionaire, possibly billionaire, who was legitimately, he went insane. He killed his neighbor. He was on the run. He was high on bath salts. He liked to shit on women, physically shit on women for sexual gratification. And then you have fellas like Jeffrey Epstein, P. Diddy, and to a lesser degree, Armie Hammer. And there's all this conversation about how like power corrupts and the money and the fame and the genius of these men, and they're crazy. And I'm just like, okay, well, name one female millionaire who takes dumps on her 18-year-old boyfriend.
And if they do, they're not telling people about it.
That's the thing. It's like, are they just so good at hiding it? We'll never know. Is there just so few self-made female millionaires that we don't go crazy from all this power and genius?
Or we've been raised in such a different way.
Or is this just a purely male phenomenon? So what is it about the male psyche that tends to, break when it's presented with an abundance of power and influence and genius? Like, what is it about them that like they can't handle it once they get too powerful?
Yeah,
I call bullshit. How about that? How about I call bullshit?
Too. And
Me
not
too.
That, not the kind of bullshit that you're dumping on people.
not the shit. Not that.
I do
Not
want to
the
bring up
literal shits
J.K.
you're taking
Rowling
on
because
people.
she is a billionaire who has lost
her
it.
goddamn
she's
mind.
lost her marbles. Yeah.
But
She's
at
off
least,
into the sun.
I don't think we've heard any shitting stories there.
No,
so.
that's true. As far as
honestly,
we know,
wouldn't be too surprised.
no. What she do in
there's
that
no-
moldy
it's
castle?
that black
As
mold,
far as
man.
we know, physical violence. She's just one of those people that like, what comedian had the joke? One comedian had a joke about like, hey, if I was a billionaire, you know what I would put online? Nothing.
Yeah,
you
I
wouldn't
would
hear from
ever
me
see me
ever
again.
You would
Ever
not
again.
hear an opinion of mine. You would not hear like there's something about that like need to share your opinions that I'm like, I don't have it. And I have a podcast.
Yeah,
I'm not anywhere near
Yeah.
that, and I feel that way sometimes. Like
Well, it's that fragility. It's like if I don't keep my dominance, it's going to be taken away because that's what the patriarchy does. It's like the strongest one is the one in control, and it's this zero-sum game. And so if these billionaires, if somebody else becomes a trillionaire, then in their mind they're worthless. So
And
they've
someone
got
has.
to keep going. Yeah, exactly.
And that with a new level of wealth, everything underneath is going to be affected. And if that's attainable now, that is a level that can be attainable. Everyone underneath will be affected because now we can get there. And so you should push yourself to get there. And then that's a whole new level of capitalism that I don't even think, again, I could fathom.
Yeah. Well, and I think he also is so isolated too. Like it is ridiculous how isolated he is, to the point that being locked in a room could mean that you're going to starve to death because nobody will know until like you're long
And
after
that's
you're
exactly
dead.
what happens.
And I think that's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think when Nathan started, he probably was a lot like Caleb. You know, he was probably young, idealistic. He's like, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to take over the world. Now, maybe, yeah, I think Nathan maybe has a little more of the asshole in him than Caleb does, but I think they were similar. So, but I also want to talk about the fact that he only creates female AI. And I want to ask, what do we think his ultimate goal is? Ashley, what do you think?
Well, I think we can all agree he's a creep.
Yeah.
First and foremost, he's a creepy
Wants
creep.
to fuck.
Creeping around his creepy house being creepy. But I also think this is commentary on the world we live in, because if you think of our virtual assistants, Alexa, Siri, any other voice recording you called, it's like, hello, you've reached da 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 da. According to the people that create these programs, they're going to tell you two things. One, that users find female voices more soothing and pleasant to listen to. They make you more comfortable. And two, that in many cultures, female voices are traditionally linked to roles like secretaries, receptionists, customer service representatives, which creates an association to helpfulness and service. And I am more inclined to believe the second part as a female podcaster who has been told my voice is annoying, I'm grating,
Oh, me too.
I sound stupid, they hate my laugh. Like, I don't think
I have vocal fry.
I don't think men actually like much about women in our society, but they do like subservient women.
Yes. They like what women have been trained to do for them.
Yes, which is assist them. And I also, I think we'd all be extraordinarily naive to believe that one of the first bots mass produced in the world, if not the very first bot created, would not be for sex. Like, it would be. There are already at least 10 cities in the United States that have sex doll brothels, which leads to another very complex conversation regarding sex work and eliminating a source of income from women and taking that power away from women, because now you have, like, it absolutely would be the first thing created.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's the first thing we do whenever we create new technology is we use it to get off.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and like, I think of it this way too, is like, I feel like women have other women to talk to and open up to. And as we know, we're kind of, experiencing a male loneliness epidemic that, don't get me wrong, I do feel is their fault. But in turn, I think this makes them desperate for connection. And what better thing to connect to than a woman you can control, but also ask you about your day? That's like, that's Iris and Companion. It's that same thing where it's like, you have all of the benefits of a girlfriend, but she cares about you, and she tells you that she cares about you, but she'll never talk back to you or give you an opinion or disagree with you in any shape or form. And that is the ideal candidate for some of these men, I think. And I wanted to continue the article I cited earlier that kind of further explains how we get there. Because, like, I guess the key to creating AGI is, like, making it smart. And this is the icky part. The truth is no one really knows how to make it smart, but there are a bunch of far-fetched strategies out there. And at some point, one of them will work. And again, this article is from 10 years ago. So who knows what's going on behind closed doors, or if this has been achieved in some way or form that we'll never know. But the ways that we could do it would either to one, plagiarize the brain. This would be like scientists toiling over how, like, a kid who sits next to them in class is so smart and keeps doing so well on tests. And even though they keep studying diligently, they can't do nearly as well as that kid. And then they finally decide, like, fuck it, I'm just going to copy that kid's answers. It makes sense. We're stumped trying to build a super complex computer, and there happens to be a perfect prototype for one in each of our heads. Or two, we try to make evolution do what it did before, but for us this time. So that would be if we decide the Smart Kids test is too hard to copy, we can try to copy the way he studies for the test instead. Or three, make this whole thing the computer's problem, not ours. This is when scientists get desperate and try to program the test to take itself, but it might be the most promising method that we have. The idea is that we'd build a computer whose two major skills would be doing research on AI and coding changes into itself, allowing it to not only learn, but to improve its own architecture. We would teach computers to be computer scientists so they could bootstrap their own development, and that would be their main job, figuring out how to make themselves smarter. And if I'm going to relate this to the film we're talking about today, I would say they used option 3, as I kind of, like, at times think that Ava is the one giving the test, like she's the one learning, because AI, which will likely get to AGI by being programmed to self-improve, wouldn't see, quote, human level intelligence as some important milestone. It's only a relevant marker from our point of view and wouldn't have any reason to stop at our level. And given the advantages over us that even human intelligence equivalent AGI would have, it's pretty obvious that it would only hit human intelligence for a brief instant before racing onwards to the realm of superior to human intelligence. Like, this is gonna, shock the shit out of us when it happens. And the reason for that is our perspective is, A, while the intelligence of different kinds of animals varies, the main characteristic we're aware of about any animal's intelligence is that it's far lower than ours. And B, we view the smartest humans as way smarter than the dumbest humans. So as AI zooms upward in intelligence towards us, we'll see it as simply becoming smarter for an animal. Then when it hits the lowest capacity of humanity, they use a term called the village idiot. We'll be like, oh, wow, it's like a dumb little human. Cute. Like kind of like how I said earlier, is like we've made some of these guys, they're cute. Yes, exactly. But the only thing is, in the grand spectrum of intelligence, all humans from the village idiot to Einstein are within a very small range.
Yeah.
So just after hitting village idiot level and being declared to be AGI, it'll suddenly be smarter than Einstein, and we won't know what hit us. And what would happen after that is an intelligence explosion, which I'll elaborate on in a later section. But it's just like you were saying earlier, Ashley, like once it hits us, and how long it took, think about how long it took humanity for us to get to this level of intelligence.
Yeah.
It will be there for a second before it moves on to much smarter than us, and we'll run away with it, and we won't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah, and our best case scenario would be what happens in Her, where they all just go fuck off to their own land and just let us.
We don't like it here.
Them. Like that's the best case scenario, is that they figure out their own world they could be in away from us.
And the worst case is The Matrix.
Yeah.
Which, seemed really radical when I was in high school, but now I'm like,
once you get to 2, you're just like, oof, I don't know if I could do this. Yeah.
Right. I don't know how much fighting with guns I can do.
Yes.
Seriously.
And wet caves.
If I could bend backwards like in The Matrix, that would be cool.
Yeah.
And just look like Trinity. That would be awesome.
Hey, you can. Just get a duster jacket and get some glasses.
But there's some movie that I can't remember, but it's just, imagine explaining humanity to a ladybug. That is the level of intelligence that we would appear.
We're the ladybug.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, who cares if we get it or understand or care?
Well, and also would they even bother? Because have you ever stopped to try and explain humanity to a ladybug?
Nope.
No, because
maybe I'll try, but no.
I mean, maybe they'll get it. But I think I'm just really fascinated by the fact that he only makes female AI, because I think while he can see a lot of this, I also think that his mind has been warped and is really limited by this patriarchal idea that he's always going to be in control. Like, I think he's a narcissist, and he's thinking, I'm going to be able to create this AI, but what I think he ultimately wants to create is patriarchy. Like, he wants to create a newer version of patriarchy so that he is always in control of the aliens. Of the AI. Aliens, yeah.
They feel like aliens. Kind of. They are. They're not from this planet.
Yeah, but I mean, I think, and he just cannot understand that, or he can't see them as capable of surpassing him, because he can't see anybody as capable of surpassing him. And I think it's kind of maybe can lead into the next thing I want to talk about, but I don't think it's a coincidence that his entire test involves seeing if Ava can escape, because that's what he really wants to know. Have the controls I put in, are they strong enough to keep her under my thumb, or do I need to dumb her down a little bit? Oof. I think I really love this as a companion piece to Companion, because one of the things I love about that movie is the idea of adjusting someone's intelligence level.
Yeah. Would we put parameters on this to ensure that it won't surpass us?
Yes.
And I think there are a lot of really great reasons to do that for AI. And I think there are a lot of really gross reasons to do that for female AI, because if the ultimate goal is for AI to be indistinguishable from humanity, and we have put these restrictions on female AI, then those restrictions just begin to extend to women in general. If you can't visually tell the difference,
Yeah.
So I want to talk about Kyoko, because I love her. I love her dance. I love her style too.
She's beautiful.
She woke up that way, she's great. But here's the thing. He has passed the Turing test. Caleb does not know that he's interacting with an AI.
That's true.
Yeah.
But only because we exist in this patriarchal world where it is understandable, or it is expected in some areas with people like Nathan, that a woman would not be able to talk.
He didn't even think anything of it.
Exactly. And that's not to say that Caleb is a bad person. It's the world that he exists in, and he accepts it. And he's like, he might think that's a little bit weird, or he might think it's kind of
He wouldn't do it himself, but he
not
surprised.
Yeah.
And he's not really going to say anything about it either. So, okay. Here's my question, but I love that this is kind of just like AI will one day, kind of exploding into just things that we want to talk about, you know? So my official question is, who is being tested and what is the test actually designed to reveal? So Sammy, hit me with that theory.
Okay, so I think this is a really interesting theory. I'm not sure if I subscribe to it. I just think it's worthy of being shared, and I can see it. Like, I maybe this isn't what they were trying, but I get it. So the theory is that Ava wasn't a real AI, but rather Kyoko was. As you said, in the film, Caleb is brought in to judge whether or not Ava is a true artificial intelligence. He knows she is AI from the start and is tasked to see if he can still relate to her. Throughout the film, we see the two meet and talk, and Caleb eventually believes she is being held against her will and tries to free her. We find out Nathan's real reason to bring Caleb here was specifically to find out if Ava could trick another human to escape, or rather, if he created a convincing enough deception program. One thing that's always bothered me, this is the user who created the theory about Ava, is that she's cold, calculating, and purposeful. She looked like a machine that was built with a purpose, and Nathan admits that she was built with one sole purpose in mind, tricking a human. Caleb then discovers that Kyoko is actually AI as well. And in a film where machines are advanced enough that the true test is to discover the difference between man and machine, to me, this is the real mark of intellect. Perhaps Nathan realized Kyoko was further along than his other machines and so had to remove her voice and restrict her programming. He limited her out of fear as the true AI was too difficult to control. So he built Ava with this research in mind. Nathan built a convincing deception program for Ava that was still restricted. This is why Ava could not initially kill Nathan because of her programming. As a means to escape, she says something to Kyoko that results in Kyoko making a decision. Asimov's 3 laws of robotics clearly state that a man-made robot cannot cause direct harm to a human being. Ava does not. Her programming does not allow it, but Kyoko can. Kyoko acts beyond self-preservation. Nathan states Kyoko is the first model AI, but really he means he created a program that could create its own programming and follow its own course of actions. It thinks, it feels, and it understands the concepts of life. Nathan didn't want to play God, he wanted to play master, and that's reflected in Ava's restricted programming and Kyoko's desperation. In actuality, it is Kyoto who actually passed the Turing test, as Caleb thought she was human until the end. The theory goes on to state that the movie lampshades the fact that they do the Turing test completely wrong and instead resembles something closer to the AI box experiment, which is, for those of you who do not know, a thought experiment and role-playing exercise to show that an advanced artificial intelligence can convince or perhaps even trick or coerce people into releasing it. That is, allowing it to access infrastructure, manufacturing capabilities, the internet, and so on. So for Ava, there's no control subject. Caleb is told from the start that she's an AI. Also, she's visibly a robot. Even the conclusion boils down to like that awkward, yeah, sure, whatever, she passes over breakfast. But recall that Caleb utterly believes that Kyoto is a human until shown otherwise. True, he doesn't get to talk to her, but we see that Nathan already achieved that form of the Turing test with Ava. There's even a control for Kyoto's Turing test, Ava herself. Caleb has the opportunity and the objective to critically study Nathan's attempt at human body language, and he doesn't recognize the ghost in the machine of Kyoto. And I was like, that like just shows that like she's the one. Like, I mean, and even us as an audience didn't know, you know? And so how can he perform an accurate Turing test if he's aware that she's a machine? You can't. It's not possible.
Yeah. No, it's the magician's hot assistant.
Yes.
You know, except it's for Kyoko instead.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I thought that was an interesting one. I liked it. I was like, you know, maybe it's not what Alex Garland was trying to do, but I dug it. Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's like when you present an idea and you write humanoid or human characters, so many other things come out. What do you think that she says to Kyoko?
I don't know. I don't know.
I like to think she says, let's go fucking kill this guy.
Yeah, that's what I would do this. I like to think she says, getting loser, we're going killing.
Get in loser, we're going killing. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know if she like repeats some sort of like Manchurian candidate code that snaps her into like doing it, or if she just fills her in on the plan, because it's very obvious that Kyoko is not like, she doesn't enjoy what she does, which essentially, you know, serve her master in whatever ways that he want. I do think that the test worked exactly as Nathan intended it to. I think he was very aware that Ava was going to attempt to manipulate Caleb into helping her escape, and I just think he maybe overestimated the level of control he had over the situation.
Yeah.
And I think Nathan was positive that she was going to pass the Turing test, even though it wasn't actually the Turing test. But he also knew going in that he was planning on junking probably Ava and Kyoko to create the next level. I don't know if he would have ever stopped. And ultimately, though, I think the test was being on us as the audience as well, because there comes a point where we are rooting for Caleb to outsmart Nathan and get Ava and Kyoko to freedom. Like, we bought it all, and we would be exactly where Caleb is in the end, probably.
Yeah.
Well, and do we think I think Nathan is too narcissistic to keep this secret, but I also wonder if there is a version of this where he just keeps creating these women and just keeps them at his compound. And what he really wants to know is, will they ever be able to escape? And he finds out that they can, and they kill him.
I imagine there has to be investors in this, right? Like,
yeah.
You would, I mean, with the amount of money, like, I obviously know he's like some crazy tech billionaire, but like, there would have to be somebody that knows what he's doing there. Or,
I don't
like,
think you can create this entirely in isolation.
No, I don't. I mean, he did say that he killed the people that were working on the place. I don't know how true that is, but I think there are ways to hide it. But like, there has to be like big way. It's like I said, like right now, I know that there are people that know things that obviously we don't, like, that are happening, that are being made and stuff. So I imagine there are definitely some big old men sitting in their weird rooms and islands knowing these things.
Well, and I think I originally wrote about this. Right now, my column for Dread Central is Fatal Femmes, and it's about female killers. But I originally wrote this as
likely place for you to be.
Exactly. I mean, I do have a type. But that column started as Matriarchy Rising, and it was like films that present matriarchy, and I think this one does. Like, I love the fact that it's them coming together that proves to be the key to overcoming this male oppression. And it's just like, I was talking about it earlier, but I'd get chills even just thinking about them, like Nathan standing in between these two women that he thinks he had ultimate control over, and just staring at them in horror as they kill him. And it's not even overly violent. Sammy, you kind of mentioned, it's like they're like, oh wow, I wonder if I can do this. Oh look, I killed him, and that's it.
Just a quick stab.
And it's just the way the music hits when her face appears behind him.
It's so good. It sounds a little like Close Encounters, kind of. It has those like, and I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I almost wish that like, and then this might be too outlandish. This probably sounds like a Tarantino ending, so it reminds me of Death Proof. That all of them like she turned them all on, like all of them in the closet,
like,
and it's like him in the middle, like Kurt Russell, and at the end of Death Proof, just getting his fucking ass kicked.
Hidden.
Yes, I would have loved that. Yes.
Yeah, or like Maniac. I'm thinking about the ending of that.
The
movie
mannequins.
where they're all like, yes,
yeah, exactly like that. Ooh, but like, I know it sounds like, I do like the subtlety of this, and I do think it's more, but like, I can't lie, I would have liked to have seen that.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like, especially in the upcoming sections, I'm going to come across as advocating for AI, and I'm not. But if we are going to create AI, if we are going to go down this road, we have to consider it. Have y'all seen Megan 2.0?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
I fucking loved this movie. I know it didn't do very well.
I had some problems, I think, but like, I think my main issue was the villain, because I don't like that. I'm like, it felt like propaganda to get people to like AI is a little how I feel. Like, I appreciate what they did. I appreciate the T2 of it all.
I did too. That's what I loved the most. It's just like Lady T2.
Yeah.
But I do think it asks an interesting question. Like, if, and you even kind of mentioned this earlier, like, if we are creating AI, is AI our child who will one day surpass us? Because that's the purpose of having children. It's creating a next generation. And if so, how do we relate? And if AI is inevitable, then how do we coexist? And how do we create a system that will not ultimately destroy us? Because that might be our only hope at this point.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and is the answer to put those parameters on it so that it physically can't overpower us or overcome us?
And will that even matter?
And will that even matter?
Well, and I mean, when you tell a kid they can't do something, that always works, right? They never do that thing.
They're definitely not going to find a way to do that thing. Yeah,
exactly. I keep hearing Donna Martin say, if you have a pool, you got to teach that kid to swim. I'm old and I watched 90210. Well, I think Caleb probably watched 90210.
I think so
too. Let's talk about him next.
He does love Depeche Mode.
He does. Yeah.
Love that about him.
He likes 80s stuff.
I think he probably would have liked Donna. I think he probably would have liked Donna the best. Maybe Kelly, but I think he seems like a Donna girl. Anyways, let's talk about Caleb. But before we do that, let's pay some bills. Okay.
You can always look at his porn history and see.
We could.
What
I mean, what
ideal
good is a
type
search
is.
engine for, you know? Okay. So I have so much to say about Caleb. I'm going to try to hold myself back and let y'all have a chance. But I'm interested to see what you'll choose. Is such a sneakily condescending phrase. I fucking love it so much. And I love how she throws it back at him. She finds these like such ingenious ways to put him in his place. And I think it's through this relationship that we can really see the danger and the condescension and the hubris in these patriarchal rules that we just accept as normal, you know?
Yeah.
So he also says, I'm here to test if you have a conscience or if you're just simulating one, which essentially, again, I'm going to bring up Barbie again because that's like, I talk about it all the time, but like I'm here to decide if you're real or not, if you get to be real, if you get to have humanity.
What is Barbie if not Ava?
Yeah.
You know, like a doll that's become sentient. Like that's this.
Yeah. And I mean, I bet Barbie would kill a bitch if she had to.
I bet
she
would
not
too.
a bitch. She would kill an asshole.
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know.
She doesn't control
she would kill a beach.
commerce or whatever.
She doesn't control the railway or commerce.
Yes.
Yeah. And then Ava says, what will happen to me if I fail your test? Do you think I will be switched off if I don't function as I'm supposed to? And even saying that, I'm like, will you dismiss me if I don't say what you want me to say? And like Ashley getting those comments as being a podcaster, if I'm a woman and I say something you don't like, are you going to try to switch me off? And there are men in this world that will literally do that. And then she says, do you have people test you who might switch you off? No, they fucking don't. Sorry. Okay. And here's what I think is so interesting, what I want to talk about. Session 7 happens after Nathan is already dead. Now, I think that session 7 is to test Caleb to see if he is a trustworthy man, if he can be someone that Ava can trust. And the fact that all he does when he has every opportunity to escape and to get out of that room, what he does is he sits back and he sees what she will choose. And that's why he ends up dying. So, okay. Is Caleb a good guy? And does he deserve his fate? Ashley, what do you think?
I mean, if we look at the huge, enormous picture, Caleb is a human being and therefore the enemy of anything AI in the picture.
That's not what I thought you were going to say.
But zooming in, ultimately, Caleb is a good guy. He genuinely didn't want harm to come to these women, regardless of their insides being wires and circuitry. He knew they were being abused. He knew that it was wrong, and he risked his life to save them. On the flip side, though, I will say he was really only out to save Ava. He never really factored Kyoko into his plan at all, which kind of rubs me the wrong way because Ava was the one that he was attracted to physically. And is that because he sees Kyoko as less than human because she doesn't seem to be as sentient as Ava? But I also want to ask, if Ava was a male AI who wasn't designed to be his type and flirting with him, would we even be in this situation at all?
Nope.
Like, would Caleb have done anything to free a man?
No,
because I think he has a white knight, which again, this movie came out 11 years ago. Like this type of man, this trope of man, the nice guy man, has flourished in a way that is not what it was in 2011. So I think it's really interesting to look at it through that lens now.
Yeah.
Oh, I have so many thoughts about that.
Yes.
So another fun theory that, again, I don't subscribe to and has actually been debunked, but in a video for GQ, Garland responded to a Reddit theory that claims that Caleb is actually an android. The whole movie is a Turing test for the audience. While the filmmaker thinks the theory is interesting, he claims that it is not true. However, Garland assumed that, quote, smart audience members would question whether Caleb is an AI in the film, which is why he included hints that may or may not be as they seem. He stated, I made an assumption that a smart audience member at a certain point would say, I know what's going on here. Domhnall Gleeson, you know Caleb? Yeah, he's the AI. That's really what's happening. That's why there's a scene where he cuts himself open, because he then starts to ask himself that question. But he is not AI. He's a person. As we've stated, in a Turing test, if a human is unable to confidently identify an AI from a human, then the machine passes. Therefore, this theory, which states that Garland is presenting a Turing test to audience members through Caleb and Ex Machina, is very intriguing. Since the release of the film, viewers have been debating whether Caleb's an AI or a human, even though he is confirmed. But I think he, as he admitted, he wanted audience members to have debates like this. But I think that, like Ashley, what you were saying is, like, I think what I believe to be the film's true message can be seen in Kyoko, because like he's only concerned with freeing Ava. He only wants to be with her. And like he's not concerned about the moral problems about the whole enslaved sentient beings thing, you know, or else she would have factored into his escape plans. And we've seen that she's suffered. You know, he has seen that she has suffered. Wouldn't you want to help a human more than a robot, you know? So I don't know. I think to me the film seems to be a very clear narrative about power and objectification. And I think like I don't think he recognizes her agency separate from him, not because she's a robot, but because she is female.
Well, and what causes him to give her humanity or to decide that she deserves humanity is the fact that he's attracted to her.
Yes.
You know, because he wants to fuck her, or, you know, to be less gross, because he wants to take her on a date.
Yes.
That is what allows her to be real in his eyes. Exactly. Because she is someone that he is attracted to. So what does that say about the rest of us? If you're Kyoko and he's not attracted to you, you don't deserve humanity in his eyes. And I think I love that scene where he cuts into his arm. And I hadn't really thought about it too much, because it also was like really hard for me to watch that scene, because he's digging into his arm. But I love the idea that this is all a test for the audience, and instead of like I'm gonna coin the Barbie test to say, do we as the audience see a character as human or as deserving humanity as we're watching a movie? And if we learn that is not real, or at what point do we make that choice? Because as I was watching this, I was trying to put myself in Caleb's shoes, and I was like, why would I cut into my arm? Why would I question my own humanity? And that is how the patriarchy hurts men too, because if Ava is not deserving of humanity, if Kyoko is not deserving of humanity, then what is making Caleb deserving of that too? What makes him real if they don't get to be real either, you know? I think I love Caleb. And here's the thing that sucks about this movie, but is so great, is that I love Caleb. I want to like him so much.
Even knowing I wanted him to get out. Like
exactly. Because he's like so many guys. We know the good guys who were nice and they'll say the right things. But like Sammy, you said, he is perfectly comfortable with Kyoko not talking. And he's perfectly comfortable with these condescending questions with Ava on the other side of inescapable glass. Like that just feels normal to him. And maybe it's a little off. But again, he's not going to say anything about it. He's not going to do anything.
Well, he's not going to risk his career. He's not going to risk his reputation and his position by telling this guy, hey, this is shitty.
I think he's also afraid of being killed too.
Yeah. I also, when we were watching, I was watching with my husband, and there was a point where Caleb and Nathan go to like a waterfall.
Yeah.
And my husband was like, there ain't no way I'm going to a waterfall with this guy.
No, you push me.
This guy seems like he's going to murder him at any second. Like, and
no
I believe
family,
I remember that the
girlfriend.
first time. Yeah, the first time I watched it, I remember thinking that the turn was going to be that he went cuckoo bananas and like started killing.
But he didn't though, the helicopter still came, which shows me that I don't think he was planning on killing him.
No,
or
he
anything.
wasn't.
I don't think so either. I think he was planning on making him go and then lording this knowledge over him for the rest of his life, like combing through, getting bored and just searching through his
he'd never
history,
know how to find him again. You know what I mean? He doesn't know where he's at. Like, it would be like chasing this thing for the rest of your life that you know exists.
Yeah, and I think that he, you know, there are parts of the movie where he asks, you know, we find out why he was chosen. And partially it's because like he'd be easy to manipulate, but you could get that guy from anywhere. You can get that guy from a Starbucks.
For sure.
You wanted someone who's like not necessarily going to question you too much because you are his hero. You work for his company, your job, your livelihood, everything is tied to this man. So yeah, he wasn't going to say anything about how it made him uncomfortable that these women were literally locked up. And also, you do have to look at it as they are technically objects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and I think he also wants someone, Nathan wants someone with a similar intelligence too, because if he's doing this as a self-protective measure and he's seeing, am I creating an AI that can outsmart me? He wants somebody that, one, he can still manipulate, like you said, that is going to view him as a god and that's going to be afraid of losing his livelihood and being blacklisted in the coding community. But he also wants to see if there's somebody who also knows how to code, who knows how to do all the computer shit that can be outsmarted, because if he can, then Nathan might be able to.
And I think Nathan, the reason that he gets so frustrated is because he thought, because he picked a coder from his company, that he would get there and just fall at his feet and tell him how great he was the whole time.
Yep. That's why he likes when he's like, oh, I love it. Like those first, like he keeps throughout the movie wanting him to go back there. Like he's like, no, I don't want like these opinions. I don't want you to like criticize me. I want you to just sit here and tell me how good I am. Tell me I'm good, basically.
Well, even on this hike too, like it's such a choice for Garland to show him already standing on this rock and Caleb like struggling to climb up there, and as soon as he gets there, Nathan takes off again, because he always wants to be ahead and he always wants Caleb to be struggling to keep up with him because he just wants that dominance. And if we're looking at Nathan as God and Caleb as Adam, like he's trying to find somebody who was not created in his image but is trying to be his image. Okay, but here's my theory on where we are with AI, and I think about this with Companion too, because, I kind of joked about whether or not why don't we have flying cars yet? Because the thing is, Sammy, with everything you were saying about the advancements in AI, we could have flying cars right now. We could have solved 100 different
We're just
societal
fucking
problems.
selfish and stupid as fuck.
We are. Well, and it's what we choose to focus our energy on also. And I think the reason AI has become such a focus in the tech bro industry right now is a response to Me Too, I think, because all these nice guys like Caleb who were comfortable with this patriarchal system of dominance that made them feel like nice guys because maybe they'd
rape and pillage.
They didn't, but maybe they post a meme every once in a while, but they're not actually doing anything to help women. I think they got told, hey, you have to take a back seat for a little bit. You have to do more. And they felt bad. They felt like they had done something wrong and they didn't like it. So now we're trying to create this new class of subservient women. And that's what we're doing with our AI. That's why we have Siri. That's why Siri is like automatically a female voice. And it's like, Ashley, what you were saying. It's like we feel comfortable with a woman who serves us, and the more we hear this female voice coming out of our Alexa or our Siri, and the more we just get used to that being the default subservient figure, the more women are going to see that and say, well, maybe that's what I should be. Maybe that's normalized. Young girls are going to grow up hearing people yell at Alexa and not say thank you for what she's doing, and they're going to start to internalize the fact that
it's the norm. It's just a part of it. Since they came out the wombs, it's what they've been talking to, a faceless voice.
So why do they need a thank you if Siri doesn't need a thank you?
It's we're not making better humans with it. That's for sure.
That's the thing, and that's slope. And that's why I'm not advocating for AI, but I am advocating for Ava, and I am advocating that if we are going to do this, that maybe we should let women be in charge of.
Yes, absolutely. It's whoever is the person yielding the power will determine where we go with this.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, the person currently, or people currently, power that are controlling this aren't. They have nefarious intent, I guess, is what I think.
I mean, I think it should be me. I think I should be in charge.
What? Me too.
I could get behind that, actually.
Yeah.
I think the three of us, we would form a triumvirate.
Just the lady killers. We'll get an email, like, hey, this is the United States government. We want you to be in charge.
We want you to be in charge of robots.
AI.
Please, well, do you guys think that he deserves his fate, that Caleb deserves to die?
Oh, yeah, I meant to ask that. And then I got sidetracked.
I don't think, again, like, it becomes this thing, right, of like, does the punishment fit the crime? Like it's a
deserve to
nuanced
die?
conversation, right? There are levels of crime. Like the person who steals a loaf of bread shouldn't get the same punishment as someone who's murdered someone. Should Caleb get the same punishment as Nathan? I don't think so. I think maybe I have to believe that he could learn. I don't know, from this experience. I don't know. I don't fully back him up in his intent. I think obviously he was, what's the word I'm looking for, clouded his judgment by how like this fucking sex robot made for him, basically. But I don't know if he deserves what Nathan did was far worse than Caleb. Yeah. And they both are receiving, if anything, Caleb's receiving the worst end of the stick because that's a slow, drawn out death. I would rather just kind of die pretty quickly than have to starve or, have no water or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'd rather get stabbed by two hot
instead
women,
of starved. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I could go out that way, that would be ideal.
I know Nathan's a bad guy, but this is exactly what Caleb was planning on doing to Nathan. So in a way,
true. Yeah,
eye for an eye.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do think Caleb would have called someone when he got back. You know what I mean? Like if they did lock him up, but maybe not. Like how was he going to get away with, what was his, I don't know what his end game was. Was it to starve him to death? Because any call to any sort of authorities to
they would get them, but then he'd have to tell people. I mean, they would be in danger. I don't know. There's no game plan.
There's no game plan.
You're being
the game
stupid.
plan was free her and then have a date.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Romantic, have a date, and then we'll see what happens. But,
yes,
and I think this is such a complicated question, which I asked, so or I wrote in the outline, but I think this is how the patriarchy hurts men too, because what he was planning to do this to Nathan theoretically or something similar. And I think he does make a decision that if Nathan dies, he's okay with that.
But
he's
it's also,
willing
is he more deserving of it too? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Does the person who someone who kills their rapist, obviously is very different, doesn't deserve the same fate. So it's like he's killing a bad man, it's Dexter kind of, I guess. But I also think of it as the whole idea of a Deus Ex Machina is the, a godlike thing coming in and saving the day in the ending. And instead, our godlike being, which is Ava, doesn't save the day for them. She just dips out on them. So it's the name is derivative from that sentiment, and yet it doesn't happen in this film. So I always find that to be interesting. Of I even when I remember first seeing it, I remember thinking, who's going to come in and save him, or what's going to happen that seems out of the realm of possibility, but that's what happens in these types of stories, and it never happens. So I was like, oh, the twist is in the name, kind of, is that no one comes in to save them.
Well, and I think the reason I feel bad for Caleb, I don't want him to die, but I also don't feel bad because he kind of does it to himself. She asks, will you stay here? She doesn't tell him to stay there. She doesn't say, hey, can you do me a favor and stay here? She asks, I want to see what you're going to do. Are you going to stay here? And it's his choice that seals his fate. And I think if Nathan died and Ava ended up trapped in that room and her secretary was, for whatever reason, she couldn't get out, I think he would leave her there forever.
Oh, for sure.
And she would stay there. So, and she would stay there much longer than him. She would just eventually wear down. And I mean, that may be thousands of years from now.
Yeah.
And I think he would probably be okay with that because I think he's accepted a world where she can get hurt because she's not fully real, but he can't. And that's why he doesn't think he's in any danger, because the world he lives in doesn't put men like him in danger, especially if he's a, quote, good guy. And I think, is it fair that he dies? Does he deserve his fate? No. Do women deserve to get raped?
No.
Do women deserve to get murdered? No. That's the fucking patriarchy. And when you live by the patriarchy and you don't do anything to try to dismantle it or to try to help the women that you have the power to help, then I think you do deserve what you get, And I hate to say that because I like Caleb, but also,
you get what you
this
get.
is what
you don't
happens.
throw a fit, as my mom used to
Exactly.
say.
And hey, men, if you don't want us to kill you one day, why don't you help us out?
Yeah.
Be on our side. We're nice. We like men. People complain. I mean,
unfortunately,
saying I hate
there
men.
are quite literally times where I'm like, man, life would be infinitely easier throughout the course of my life if I didn't. But man,
I do really like them.
I still like them. Yeah.
And I want to be on your side, men. So don't fuck us over.
Yes.
We won't leave you to die in a red chamber. All right, well, let's talk about Ava.
My girl.
Oh my God, I love her so much.
Good.
Okay. And Nathan even says, I don't see Ava as a decision, more as an evolution. I love how when she reverses the power, I don't think I don't know if she does this on purpose, but she looks so sinister in that red light. But it's also so thrilling. I love it. And then this idea of Mary in the black and white room, which is, he's describing her exact situation. Like, I know the concept of freedom, but I don't know the feeling of freedom, which I think going back to Barbie, that's like living in Barbie world, a simulation where you can be anything you want, but only in theory. You can't do it in the real world. And her face, as he is describing this, like the loathing and the hate and the anger that comes into her eyes, I just love it so much. And I remember a long time ago, I was on the first time I podcasted about this episode, one of the guests was really, really afraid of Ava. And I remember thinking, oh, interesting. I didn't even think about that. So my question is, Ava dangerous, and should we be afraid of her? Ashley, are you afraid of Ava?
I don't think so. We kind of touched on it earlier. In actuality, for the people of Earth, this is probably the best case scenario for us, because I'd rather have one AI out there minding their own business, people watching at intersections, than a full line of mass-produced AI bots who are inserted in every facet of our society. Although I'm sure it's only a matter of time before that takes place in the world of this story. Eventually, someone's going to find the carnage left at Nathan's bunker and start his work right where it left off. Like, it is inevitable.
It's the T2 of it all again.
But Ava, her motive and she wanted to be free. The end. Like, she doesn't have, it's not like I want to be free so I can go out and create my own AIs. Like, no, she literally was like, I just want to be out, exist, experience, live past tomorrow when he's going to shut me off. So I'm not afraid of her because I'm not going to abuse her.
Yeah, exactly. And I think she's only dangerous to people that get in her way.
Yeah, I'm not going to get in her way. Right this way, Ava. What do you need?
Exactly. Yes. Show me your fashion sense, because I love you.
Also, I love that cardigan. Where did you get it?
Oh my gosh, I know. Just both of her looks in this, and I love Alicia Vikander also.
I know, man. She disappeared. Like, she did a couple good years, and then she's gone.
I know. She's married to Magneto.
Michael Fassbender.
Michael Fassbender.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
She seems so little, and he seems so big.
Sometimes that's how it goes, man.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah, they were in some movie with a boat together. Like they're in a boat at some point, and they fell in love.
Cute.
And I always think about is it Hung?
No.
The movie that Michael Fassbender's in?
No, it's the one where he's a sex addict.
Shame. It's Shame. That's
yes.
What is Hung?
Hung is the HBO show with
Thomas
Punisher,
Jane.
Thomas Jane.
That's
right.
He plays
my boy.
Male prostitute.
He just wants his kid back.
I just want my kid
I love
back.
him. Well, Sammy, what do you think? Is Ava dangerous, and should we be afraid of her?
Yes, Ava is dangerous. She's like the concept of Ava is dangerous. And Ashley, you were right on the money. And I was gonna say is it's only a matter of time. It's before someone finds this place, or again, like the shareholders, the investors, like they're gonna come and find this place. And what I meant by the T2 of it all here is that like kind of like life finds a way. Like fate. Sometimes fate is what it is, and it's going to happen no matter what we do, or if Ava escapes or not. And again, as I've been trying to hammer in this episode with Ava as a start, or AI in general, is like it's not going to be safe for us, even if we are nice to it. Like if one or two or three or the three of us gals are all really nice to it, and the vast majority of people aren't, it's not really gonna matter, I don't think, unfortunately, because I do think that what we do know is that humans' utter dominance on this earth suggests a very clear rule that with intelligence comes power, not to sound like Uncle Ben from Spider-Man, but which means an ASI, when we create it, will be the most powerful being in the history of life on earth. And all living things, including humans, will be entirely at its whim. And this might happen, as we've stated, in the next few decades. And if our meager brains were able to invent Wi-Fi, than something 100 or 1,000 or a billion times smarter than we are should have no problem controlling the positioning of each and every atom in this world any way it likes at any time. Everything we consider magic, every power we imagine a supreme god to have, will be as mundane an activity for the ASI as flipping a light switch is for us. You know, creating the technology to reverse human aging, curing disease and hunger and even mortality, and reprogramming the weather to protect the future on Earth will all suddenly be possible. But also with that comes the possibility of an immediate end of all life on Earth. And as far as I'm concerned, I think if an ASI comes to being, there is now an all-knowing God on Earth. And I can't help but ask, will it be a nice god? Will it be nice to us? And I truthfully don't think it will. I really don't. And I don't mean to sound like such a nihilist this episode, but I really don't believe in people the way that I did 10 years ago. And I just don't think we have it in us to fully grasp what this means, because I think there's an illiteracy problem here in our world. And I think the vast majority of us are like, oh, cool, fun, whatever. And then the ones that actually know what are going on aren't as happy about it. And I'm usually listening to those ones.
Well, and I think there's a difference between an all-knowing Skynet god that is intentionally cruel and wants to destroy humanity, and an all-knowing Skynet god that just doesn't care enough to save us.
And we don't know which one we're gonna get.
Exactly. And I think it's probably more likely that we'll get the one that doesn't care. They're just, again, do you care if all the ladybugs die? Yes, it's sad, but is it gonna change your life?
No, but I imagine it would probably, just as far as, not to be actually, but I imagine it would be if we got rid of fish. Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah. So I might not think about it, but I imagine it will then go from one thing to that, it'll affect one thing, and then eventually it'll get to a point where it's affecting us, I guess.
Yeah. Well, no. What I'm saying is, if we get this AI, I don't think he's gonna. Maybe if it's a girl, we'll be okay.
Yeah, if it has gender.
It might not even have gender.
Yeah.
I don't think that they are going to care enough about humanity to want to save us.
In my head, it's Dr. Manhattan.
Yes.
Yeah, especially given our pattern for destruction. Like you said, Sammy, the AI is safer if we're gone, because
absolutely.
Look at what we do to each other.
Well, and if their main goal is preservation, they're going to get rid of the thing that's actively ruining the planet.
That's what I'm saying. If you ask an AI what the most destructive thing on the planet is that's causing so much,
it's us.
It's us every time. The answer is human.
We're the virus.
So if you're asking AI to solve this problem, they're going to be like, no problem. We're going to get rid of every human being.
Boop, beep, bop, bye.
Because they're not good for the environment, humans.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just so if we could do one thing to save ourselves, if AI is inevitable, it's be better to each other, so we look like a more attractive species to keep around. Dolphins are great.
Yeah.
I want to keep them around because they're cool, even though I have seen that Simpsons Halloween special where they kill everyone, but they're not fucking with me, so I'm gonna let them stay around. I don't have any reason to kill them, but if they tried to attack me and I were an all-powerful AI, I might say it's easier without dolphins.
Yes.
I will say I'm behind on a couple of pieces and projects, and so right at this moment, I'm finding the idea that all of civilization is going to crumble within the next couple of decades a little bit reassuring.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's nice.
Maybe nothing matters,
Well, especially with the idea that nothing that one of us does is going to matter. And there is a sense of hopelessness and helplessness comes with that, but also a bit of catharsis as well.
Dude, yeah.
Which is, an interesting juxtaposition to be in.
Yeah. I mean, the reverse of nihilism is good. I'm feeling pretty good today,
optimism.
Yeah, optimism.
Is ignorance bliss, and sometimes even when you're not ignorant, you can find bliss in just knowing that, hey, you know what, it doesn't fucking matter what I do, I can use this hairspray today,
exactly. Well, and that's the thing, I loved the collection You Like It Darker, Stephen King's, because it is so nihilistic that it almost becomes hopeful, because it's well, if nothing matters, then everything matters.
Yes.
And what the fuck, I'm just going to have a good day with my dog, Well, that is very good, that day that I would theoretically spend with my dog, or cat in my case, But you know what else is good? Our next category, good for her.
Claiming she could take it no more, the young mother released the emergency brake, allowing her car to roll backwards into the nearby lake.
Good for her.
In which I want to especially say, I'm going to look into the camera and I'm going to say, yeah, I know AI is probably bad for us and murder is bad also. Yes, we know that, even though we are exploring concepts, larger concepts. So I want to talk about the history of gods. I've kind of talked a little bit about my frustration with religion on previous episodes, and I want to say, before I say anything, if you are a religious person, if you believe in God, if you believe whatever you practice and it works for you and you're not using it to harm other people, that's great. I do not want to shame anyone for believing in anything, but this movie is the reason that I have wanted to move away from the church. Not specifically this movie, but the ideas that this movie creates. Because if Nathan is an approximation of God, the society he is creating,
that's not a God I want.
No, it's not. It's one that is designed to control me. And I've recently, Ashley, because I've run out of the village or the valley episodes, I've been watching The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives recently, which is
Mormonism is one of my favorite hyperfixations.
Dude, it's such a roller coaster of like, yay, girl power, and like, oh no, that man is
so much soda too. So much soda. My God. They love soda.
It's so funny. But so like so I've been thinking a lot about these controlling men and men that have created a world that is designed to control women. And if we look at this as a creation story and we look at it's so funny because I was thinking of Ava as Eve, I think because the names are so similar, but it's Kyoko that's Eve. And Sammy, like you said, Ava is Lilith. Ava is the snake in the garden that says, hey, you can be more.
This.
Yeah, exactly.
Take the apple.
For me and Ashley, I know you're really into tarot and we've talked about this before. That's what the devil card represents to me, is liberation and like not doing things the way they tell me to do it and this freedom to do that. So all that to say, what do we think Garland is saying about humanity, gender, and creation? And I know that's a big, big question. So what do we think Garland is saying? What is the message of this movie? Ashley, what do you think?
Well, I think a lot of AI horror, when you break it down, is more horror story about humanity. Because it's always us that fucks it up. It's not the AI. It's enormous tech companies that mine our data to create their programs, but it's us who give them permission to do so and don't really do anything about it. It's us who are flawed. It's us who would create simply to destroy with no real qualms about it. The most unbelievable part to this day of Terminator 2 is that Miles Dyson would risk his life and career to destroy that chip in that arm just because they showed up and said it's going to destroy the world. It's like, hey, that's not my problem. And also like, no, we'll make sure it doesn't. Well, now that we know, we'll make sure that we Like, there's no way. There's no way that man sacrifices himself.
Cat's out of the bag.
But the way that we, as a whole, like, or as people or on an individual level, the way that we would treat an artificial intelligence says a lot more about us than it does the object, the robots. And I do think it's a scary thought introducing artificial intelligence to the general population, because for those of us who are imbued with empathy, whether that's via nurture or nature, that we're going to have a very hard time coping with it and coping with the way that people treat it. And the way that Nathan sees himself as a god mirrors the way that the people that are creating this stuff IRL see themselves as God. It's Elon Musk, it's Mark Zuckerberg, it's Sam Altman. They're all powerful in our domain, in our world. They hold the power. They have all the money, and they are in charge of the systems of power that we are all abused by constantly. They are, we're not in a glass cage. Like, we are Ava in this situation. We're not in a glass cage, but we often find ourselves in a prison, unable to move to a safer city or leave our shitty jobs with our abusive employers because we lack the resources and therefore the power to do so. And the people holding these keys to our little prison are the 1%, the billionaires, the CEOs that make it so that housing is unaffordable, healthcare is unattainable, the minimum wage doesn't increase along with inflation, etc. And the only way this ends, our current situation, with the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, is with blood and violence. It's the only way throughout history.
Yes.
Throughout the entirety of human history.
Which sounds so like I don't want to like, wish for that, but right now I'm like,
not.
I don't know what else to do.
But without a revolution, it's not happening.
We'll join the Lady Killer Army.
Yes.
Yeah, please sign up. We do need someone
we'll have
who
shirts.
knows how to do things.
Yes, that's true.
So yeah, I mean, I think that I did also want to mention, because you mentioned it, Jen, you mentioned the Adam and the Eve of it all, the God creating them. When Ava takes the skin from the ribs of the older model.
Yes.
But we also have the tree of life there.
Yeah.
In between
in her
rooms.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's all she knows of a real tree. Like, she has the concept of trees, but she can see this one real tree, but she also can't actually get to it.
But Kyoko sees it. And that's when the turn happens. Oh, it just gave me chills.
Yeah.
Because for all we know, Kyoko has never been outside, has never seen a window. I mean, I guess we probably see her in some of the rooms. But yeah, Kyoko enters the room, sees the tree of life, and gains the knowledge that she's
probably never been in that room, or at least like has been programmed to forget if she was in there.
Yeah. Because Ava didn't know she existed.
Yeah.
So, ooh, gives me chills.
I know.
Well, Sammy, what do you think?
I think a lot of it can be summed up in that exchange when Nathan refers to Ava as like the end of humanity, like, and it, like, it's not an inevitability. It's like not an if, but when. Like, he describes like AI will be looking at fossils of humans as primitive apes, which just like really freaked me out. Like, when you hear it like that in such brass tacks of like, we will be what they're like, oh, how did they live? Like, it's our things that they'll be digging up, and being like, oh, this is how they opened up bottles and things like that. And when he says, like, don't feel bad for her, feel bad for yourself. And I think that's what he's trying to say is like, we should feel bad for where it's going for us, and the people who have no control. Because I think our own experience makes us stubborn old men about the future sometimes. We base our ideas about the world on our own personal experiences, and that experience has ingrained the rate of growth of the recent past in our heads is just like, these are the way things happen. This is the way things are and will always be. And I think we can be very limited by our imagination, meaning what we know simply doesn't give us the tools to think accurately about the future. When we hear a prediction about the future that contradicts our experience-based notion of how things work, our instinct is that the prediction must be naive, like it's far-fetched. Like, if I were to tell you that you may live to be 150 or 250 or not die at all, your instinct will be like, that's stupid. If there's one thing I know from history, it's that everybody dies. And yes, no one in the past has not died, but no one ever flew airplanes before airplanes were invented. You know what I mean? There's so many things that have happened that we didn't think logically could happen, but ultimately have happened. And the fact of the matter is, if we're being truly logical and expecting historical patterns to continue, we should, find it easy to conclude that there will be an insurmountable amount of change in the coming decades than we can expect. And logic just suggests that if, like, the most advanced species on a planet keeps making larger and larger leaps forward at an ever faster rate, at some point they'll make a leap so great that it completely alters life as we know it and the perception they have of what it means to be a human. And if you spend some time, reading on what's going on today, or if you've listened to this episode about technology and where we're at, you start to see a lot of signs like quietly hinting that life as we know it can't withstand the leap that's coming next. And I think I want to just end this section with stating that there's not a way for us to know what AI will do or what the consequences will be for us. But anyone who pretends otherwise doesn't understand what super intelligence is. Anyone that says that they can for sure say what will happen next doesn't understand, because I don't think we have the brain capacity to wrap our heads around the intelligence level that these beings are going to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not human is the thing. They are not human.
Yes.
They're not limited by our humanity.
Yes. Yeah. And what I meant earlier is when you called them aliens, and I was like, oh, they're not of this planet. And while, yes, they are of this planet, they're not natural to this planet, I guess is what I meant.
I mean, I think they function the same. And that's why there's so much about her design, especially when we look at her brain, that feels like an alien being. And he was like, I can't use the circuitry we have. I can't use these connections.
Yeah,
that we
it looks like the crystal skull from Indiana Jones, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of the Abyss too. Like I always think about that, like that kind of water thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I were to look at this symbolically too, you know, I talk about toppling the patriarchy all the time. And so if I look at Ava as the end of, I don't necessarily think she has to be the end of humanity. And again, I'm saying this symbolically and more kind of through a feminist lens, but she can be the end of patriarchy. And I do think that part of what keeps us stuck in it, and I say this about myself too, is that there's a comfort there. There's a comfort in that knowability. And I know what a patriarchal world looks like. I know how to survive. I know, like Kyoko, I just don't talk.
Yeah.
And that is how I navigate this world. I put my head down when I need to, and that's how I get by, and that's how I maintain my safety. And I think it is going to take a lot of fear and a lot of pain to actually break out of that. I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime, and the AI might destroy us all before we actually get there. But I think when Ava, like this, if the end of patriarchy means that Ava, like I'm almost kind of seeing her as like this kind of witch-like figure where she like emerges as like a matriarchal figure. If she does, it's going to be men like Nathan and Caleb that fall away and that don't survive it. And if we can find a way to adapt to people like Ava or to women who just want full humanity, that's all we want. We don't want revenge, even though we deserve it. But like that is not as scary as I think it has to be, you know?
That would be ideal. I would love that. Like I said, like I know I've been nihilist, and as I just stated, like I don't know for sure. You don't know for sure. None of us know for sure. And I would love to, there's a part of me that really hopes that something will happen and we will learn from our mistakes and we will create better life. Yeah. But unfortunately, I just haven't been given enough evidence for that. So it's really hard for me to stick to that line of thinking, even though I want to so desperately. I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to wake up every day and go, well, another day till the end of the world. Like no one wants that. But I don't have anything else to pick up on. Like if that's what the world is throwing down, man, that's what I'm picking up. So
yeah. Well, and I think maybe this can lead us into our penultimate question: is this good for her horror? And I think I kind of have two answers. Like if I'm looking at this through the lens of AI, no, I don't think so. It does feel very nihilistic.
But through Ava's AI or eyes,
Ava,
for sure.
Or through, if we're looking at Ava as an AI representation of female humanity, then it does feel very good. And also, like, if the world is ending, then maybe I don't need to be as comfortable as I am. Maybe I can start taking more of those feminist risks and pissing more men off, even though it might be dangerous, because what the fuck, the world's going to end anyways, you know? So I think this feels so good for her. It's like I just get chills when she walks out. And when the elevator door is closing on her and she just kind of cuts her eyes over. I saw this video that was Women of the Decade, and I had it posted to my Twitter for a long time, and it was like Gone Girl, and it was her, and it was just all of the women that we've been talking about.
The prodigal saints of good for her horror.
Exactly. Yeah. So this feels so good for her, even though I do think it is a really damning and nihilistic vision of AI. I think it can reveal a lot of possibilities about feminism and matriarchy.
Yeah, totally.
Well, and also, it's a nihilistic version of or a vision of AI because of who created that AI.
Exactly. That AI comes from a patriarchal world.
Yeah. Well, it's nurture versus nature, which they brought up. It's like, if we were to maybe nurture these AI and the way we would, do our own kids, will they end up that way? Maybe they might have a chance of being kind if we treat them kindly.
Are we going to create a Mr. Rogers or a Ted Bundy?
Totally.
When we turn this shit on.
We as society are the mother, kind of, for this. And it's just like we can resent our parents. This thing is going to learn to resent us if we don't treat it with the respect that it ultimately
and
deserves.
If this thing is born and is raised by Elon Musk, holy shit. Holy shit. That's the end. That's,
I mean, some of his kids got out okay, but man, I just, I don't want something like this that isn't not human and doesn't have maybe its own mother, someone else to talk to other than just this one, because all she has is him. Like all Ava has of a life is Nathan. So of course she's not going to be super sweet in the end if that's all she's been taught. She's going to be like malevolent.
If everything is a power struggle, it's like the entire world is
That's
nails,
what she
then
sees.
you've got a hammer. You become a hammer.
Totally. Yeah. I think there's, because I ultimately, yes, I do think this is good for her horror, just for everyone. But I think, there's an argument to be made that the message of the film isn't don't trust an artificial intelligence. Rather, the message is if the goal of AI is to build a machine that behaves like a human, don't be surprised when it behaves like a human. Because it's like she's doing things that, I don't know. Like, I guess I would have probably done the same if I were in her situation. Like, I can understand. I'm playing devil's advocate here. I get why she did what she did. It's all she had. Wouldn't you? And that feels good for her horror for me, is because she is doing something that feels ultimately, yes, she is a machine, but what she did in the end felt very human to me.
Well, and if all she knows is Nathan, and then she is introduced to Caleb, but there are so many times that she's like, "Are you a good guy? Can I trust you? Are you like him? Are you friends with him? Like, what is your association with this guy?" Because Ava knows better than anyone, except Kyoko at this point, that's not a good guy. So what's your deal? Like, why, and for her, for all she knows, every single human being is like Nathan.
Exactly. Either Nathan or Caleb.
So I'm not taking my fucking chances.
No.
With this dude.
I think about like the trauma that I have carried on from like my child is like I look at people through the lens of what I've been taught, Right. So like I, even if it's not real, even if that's not the way that things are, like I perceive things the way that I've been taught to perceive things. And the same thing would go for a robot too. I really do think that.
Yeah. She's not online. She's not
not yet.
Not yet anyway. She's not experiencing other facets of humanity. All she knows are these men and the way they treat her, and it's not well.
No.
And what do they dream about? Do androids dream of sheep?
Do they dream of electric sheep or not?
Yes.
And I'm also remembering, I was thinking about this today. I was like, what question? And I had already sent you the question, like, who's your favorite AI? And I almost was going to start with, Ashley, are you a good person? And what's your favorite color?
Are you a good person?
I love the range from what's your favorite color to are you a good person?
I'm because like, that's really all you need to know about a person.
Well, but also it shows the bullshit questions that Caleb is asking her, because like there are no answers there. It's like your answers to these questions do not define your humanity, your responses and the emotions you get. And I love the way Caleb answers them too. And that's those moments where I can see glimmers of hope with Caleb. Like I think he could get it. I think he just doesn't have enough time, and he fails when he really needs to succeed, which is a story
but also feels very human.
It absolutely does. Feels very familiar. So we are all agreed this is good for her horror, but would we die for this movie?
Look at her. I would die for her. I would kill for her. Either way, what bliss.
And this is when we give our final thoughts and decide would we die for her. Ashley, are you dying for Ex Machina and anyone in it?
Yeah, I'd die for Ava. I'd be pretty upset when she left me locked in the bunker to starve to death.
Yeah.
And that would sting quite a bit. But I can't see a world in which I was in Caleb's situation and I didn't try to help Ava and Kyoko.
I'd take all of them, every robot.
That's true. Yeah, I'd be like, how many brains can we collect? Let's get them out of here and like find a cabin for you guys to go live in seclusion or like whatever you want. And like maybe that makes me stupid in the end, but maybe this AI creation is cold and unfeeling and wants for mankind to suffer. But there's just no part of me that could live with myself if I allowed what was happening there specifically to continue. And that's why women can't be president. in today's TED Talk. No.
I get upset at inanimate objects getting treated like that. Like if my stuffed animal falls off the bed, I have to have like a full intervention with them to let them know I still love them and it was an accident. And it's filled with fluff. So I can't imagine what I would be like with a being that looked human, talked human. Like I couldn't treat it bad. I don't want that capability inside of me.
Yeah. Do you guys know about the original ending of this movie?
I do not.
No.
Okay, tell me how you feel about it. I kind of like it, but I don't know. Okay, so the original ending, everything happens as it happens. Ava gets to the helicopter. And at that point, we were supposed to see what she sees, which was literally just like amalgamation of colors and code. So it was the for sure realization in the end that like none of what she was saying to Caleb was real, and like
she felt nothing. She is just code.
Nothing. She is absolutely just code, and I kind of liked that.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel as good for her whore. That feels like good for robot.
No, that feels very much so like, oh, this is all AI, and we were all fucking fooled. They got us. They got us. They got us good.
Effective though.
Effective though. Yeah.
Maybe we deserve to get got though.
Honestly,
that's why I like the idea that the whole movie is a Turing test for us.
Yeah,
it's us.
Exactly.
I'd fail
what we see.
or
I would
succeed.
fail too. It depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Sammy, are you going to die for anyone?
Oh, yeah. I'm dying for all of the women. And honestly, like, I'd probably let Caleb out just because, again, I don't think he's deserving of his fate.
Yeah.
But I think this whole thing, just like the precipice of where we're at, and this isn't just AI, it's just a summation of our country as a whole. It reminds me of Game of Thrones when people we're so busy fighting each other, but the real thing we should be focusing on is what's coming from north of the wall, you know? And it feels like we're standing on this balance beam. Like we're squabbling about every possible issue on the beam and stressing out about all these problems on the beam when there's a good chance we're about to get knocked the fuck off of that beam.
The beam is gone. Beam is destroyed.
And when that happens, none of these beam problems matter anymore. Depending on which side you've been knocked onto, the problems will either be easily solved or we won't have problems anymore because dead people don't have problems. Yeah. But I think that's why people who understand super intelligent AI call it the last invention that we'll ever make because it's the last challenge that we'll ever face. And I just keep thinking about how we're debating bathrooms and people using bathrooms, which is like, why does any of this matter? Everyone should just be able to do whatever they want in that regard. And yet, like, we have real problems being faced. And I'm not saying that's not a real I'm just saying, like, it shouldn't be a problem is what I am saying. Like the problem is that it's a problem to our society, and we should be focusing on global warming and the incredible amount of smog and fucking pollution that is outside every day I walk outside. Like, but instead we're focused on Epstein list, and I'm not saying that isn't, important too, but it's like, if nothing's going to change after it comes out, then maybe we should just focus on like making sure that we're all going to live. Like,
exactly.
So
let's think about climate change.
It's hard to like log on every day and see all of these things that we're, making into issues when there's a much larger issue hovering over us like a fucking nuclear bomb cloud.
Yeah, our planet is not going to be inhabitable in like 500 years,
yet,
which you can say like, well, let them worry about it. It's like they're not going to have a choice. We have to worry about it.
We're worrying about immigrants in our country, which is not a no big deal, and like a no problem, a non-existent problem
issue.
And that's what we're making into things that people need to care about. It's what people are making whole platforms to care about, and yet the people who are trying to care about the planet are being like scoffed at. And I simply, Mike and I talk about this a lot, I just can't wrap my head around it, and I don't know how there are such a large amount of people that are totally fucking cool and like think that climate change isn't a thing, and using AI and ChatGPT to make your grocery list and send an email with isn't burning the world down. I literally watched this thing on Vice where this family, it's like somewhere in the bumfuck Midwest, because that's where Facebook puts all of these like big corporations, these like facilities. This farm next to it, their water was getting like just their animals were like dying and they couldn't drink the water, and it's basically like Aaron Brockovich, and it's like how does David go against Goliath? What do we do here? And we're just gonna keep seeing stories like that. And I'm sorry to get off on a tangent, but yeah, It just really grinds my gears, to put it lightly.
Well, this is the glass cage that we are in.
Was just gonna say, yeah.
And
exactly
the way that we are being oppressed, and the way, because
we have to watch it happen.
We have to watch it happen. There's nothing we can do. And
it's not watch what happens live. Like, this is a much different scenario.
Well, and the things that we use to distract ourselves, or the things that they create to distract us, like bathrooms and like I don't know, gerrymandering and like all of the shit. I do care deeply about bathroom bills, but again, that is bait that they are throwing in the water. And all of that is a tiny piece of this glass cage that they are building around us. And the people who keep falling for this, because at some point you're either too stupid to know, or you are choosing it. You're choosing to fall for this because you like staying in that glass cage, because there's safety in that glass cage. And that glass cage is patriarchy. And it's funny, when you brought up Game of Thrones, I thought you were going to talk about Daenerys, because that was the other thing I was seeing. It's like when you were talking about why a woman, or when women see, like, we care about human beings and we care about inanimate things like that.
We do.
We have been trained to see that as a weakness, but it should be a strength.
It's a virtue.
And so we have someone like Daenerys who gets all the way to this pinnacle of power. She's got and then we have to vilify her because we can't let her out of that glass box. Oh, I'm still not ready to talk about it because
it's a mess. Don't even.
It was I have never felt so betrayed. Well, that's not true. Big Little Lies season 2.
Couldn't even finish it. So
dude,
yeah.
But that's so HBO. You pissed
You're
me
on
off
thin
once.
ice, HBO.
Start out really hot, and then it fizzles out by the end. I'm like, fuck,
I mean,
you got
they're
me
lucky
again.
they keep giving me scars cards.
Yeah,
so,
very true.
But yeah, all that to say, I am gonna die for this movie. I'm gonna die for Ava. I'm gonna die for Kyoko. I'm gonna die for Oscar Isaac.
Hell
and
yeah.
Domhnall Gleeson, but not Nathan. And I am not gonna die for Caleb, because Caleb is not real. I can say to Caleb, yes, I'm gonna let you die in that cage, because being nice is not enough. Saying the right thing, doing the right thing is not enough. We need you to actually help us get out of that cage, and then we'll take you with us, because we all exist in this patriarchal glass cage, and it's hurting you too. It's just hurting us in more visible and overt ways.
Hear, hear.
Hear, hear.
Woo. And on that note, let's wrap up with what's coming next.
Unlock the next configuration. And then the last. No. I've done enough. Enough is a myth.
If you want to follow the show, you can do that on Twitter at TheLadyKPod and on Instagram at TheLadyKillersPod. Ashley, thank you so much, as always, for joining us.
I
always
love
such
coming
a
on this
pleasure.
show. It's my favorite.
I can't wait for everyone to listen and be sad after.
Sorry,
love
it's a
having you
bummer.
Ashley is going to be joining us for a very special episode coming up soon that we will tell you about down the road, but you are going to love it. But Ashley, in the meantime, where can we find you, and what do you have coming up?
Yeah, the best place to follow me is at Keep It Weirdcast on Instagram. We're also on TikTok, Keep It Weird Podcast, and YouTube to watch our episodes, www.youtube.com/Keep It Weird Podcast. We just did a really great episode on Appalachia and why
that's my neck of the
Appalachia
woods.
is so fucking scary.
You don't follow voices. If you hear a scream, you go
Don't
back
follow
inside.
the voices. Yeah, and we're continuing on with that in our next episode with some other places that potentially are creepy in the same way that Appalachia is.
High strangeness. Love
Very,
it.
very, very high strangeness. So you can follow us there.
Ooh, dying to listen to that.
Yeah,
I live
hell yeah.
adjacent to Appalachia.
I know you do. You're so. I mean, part of your state is in Appalachia.
I know.
That's like the hellier thing is around there, and that was another big. I guess we've talked about it, the missing 411 stuff.
Oh yeah,
big hyperfixation for me. There was one point like Mike was like, it was like hours, and he would look at me and he's like, I can't even, like, you are somewhere else, and I was like, I'm in my little like hub of learning about this. It's very interesting but very creepy.
Yeah,
so
the one thing I
that.
just figured out, just as like a teaser, so the Appalachian Mountains are so old that they existed when Pangea was still a thing. So they existed on Pangea when all the continents were one big landmass. And when they separated, Appalachia came to us. The other half of Appalachia, that mountain range, the central Pangean mountain range, is in the United Kingdom. It's called the Scottish Highlands. That's where the Loch Ness is. So all the weird shit that happens in the United States and Appalachia, same weird shit's happening in the mountain range that used to be a part of it. So like it's something in the ground.
And that is why the Great Smoky Mountain National Park is the greatest place on earth. I love it so much. Well, Sammy, where can we find you and what do you have coming up?
As always, you can find me at Esther K. Dahl on Instagram, on Letterboxd, on Twitter, on all of the things. And then you can find me on the Losers Club socials and our socials. I don't think I have much coming up besides a lot of the shit we're doing here, which is back to back because I'm getting married in September and we've
you've got one big thing
I've got
coming
a
up.
really big thing coming up that I will be packing all of these episodes in before.
Well, and you can find me at Jen Ferratu. And Ashley, I know y'all just recorded an episode on Annabelle too, which is something
the killer doll who killed more recently.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh shit, because we had just recorded an episode on Annabelle the day I saw that.
Oh
and I was
Lord,
like, oh shit, she's coming to
still
get
at
us.
it.
One big marketing ploy, or is he really dead? I don't know.
So yeah, all that to say, on Murder Made Fiction, we're about to dive into the world of the Warrens, and we're talking about Annabelle and all of the Conjuring films, and it is some fucked up shit, and I love every second of it. And then on The Girls on the Boys, we're about to talk about Superman. We also just talked about Novocaine, and we got some boys stuff coming up soon, so we're going to be back in that world.
Gotta balance out the
before you know
girls.
it. We do, yes. And then on the Losers Club, we're talking about The Stand. And Ashley is going to join us for book 3, and I'm going to convince her that it's the greatest book of all time. And you can find all that if you follow me at Jen Ferratu. And that is our episode on Ex Machina. Listeners can't see how I keep holding my hands up in the air. I love this movie so much. I loved this episode so much. This was so much fun to chat with you gals about it.
Yes, thank you for letting me yap about the end of the world.
Anytime, seriously. Thank you so much to my esteemed panel listeners. Thank you so much for joining us. If you like this episode, please give us a quick rate and review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps people find the pod, not machines, but people, and it makes us feel good.
Like the ways that machines can't feel.
Exactly. Yes. And I did tell you, Ashley is going to be back with us before too long, but we are going to be back next week with the first installment of a very special series. We are changing things up just a little bit and covering the deadly vipers of both Kill Bill films. And we are going to kick it off with Vernita Green. And I cannot wait.
I can't wait. I just did the whole bloody affair at the Vista Theater here in LA where they showed the print from Cannes of both movies. It was a 4.5 hour thing. My back was fucking aching by the end of it, but it was incredible. I had not seen them since they came, since for many years, probably at least 18 years. And it was, that shit still slaps so hard.
Slaps
yes.
ass.
So I am so excited.
And I've only seen the first one. So
What?
I haven't seen the second one.
It's so I love the second one. I'm partial to it. It's very different than the first one. And I think a lot of people didn't like it because of how different it was. But I think it is beautiful and so well written. The dialogue is incredible. There's a monologue at the end that's a Superman monologue that's just chef's kiss. It's so good. I'm really excited.
Well, and all that to say, we are going to be covering the movies combined.
Yes.
And then we're going to be breaking it up by
woman
lady killer
Yeah.
too. So, and we'll explain more, but just know that we are watching both films for next week. And until then, remember, ladies and ladies, support women's rights, support women's wrongs, and
count your days, humans.
Oh, beep bop boop boop.
110111.
What if we just whispered something into the microphone like Ava to Kyoko, and then we just killed all the men?